abruptly solidified from the ethereal, the celestial forbidden domain. Centering upon himself, optimized through the source flow wall, it unfolded into a new realm infused with deeper spatial mysteries and the cyclical forces of yin and yang, no longer merely suppressive. Within this domain, space was sliced into countless fragmented mirrors, the flow of time became chaotic, and the currents of yin and yang swirled, forming a natural maze and entrapment. The invading thread of consciousness was instantly ensnared, akin to an insect trapped in a quagmire, its movements becoming exceedingly sluggish, and the connection to its true form severely disrupted and distorted. Weaving the laws, the net of confinement, Li Wei silently commanded, activating his newly unlocked system abilities. With his hands pressed forward, his internal divine and mental powers surged forth like a tidal wave. Assisted by the system's law-weaving module, the foundational threads of the surrounding space were instantly stirred, reconfigured into an invisible and intangible net of laws, encompassing effects such as spatial lockdown, temporal stasis, and energy isolation, descending upon the consciousness ensnared by the domain. This maneuver far exceeded the capabilities of an ordinary eternal true deity, encroaching upon the realm of the chaotic sovereign, where one could invoke external laws. The owner of the subtle consciousness clearly had not anticipated that Li Wei had long been prepared, nor could they have fathomed the existence of such an intricate and formidable countermeasure. The divine consciousness struggles fiercely, attempting to unleash its power to break free. Yet, under the dual oppression of the heavenly forbidden domain and the enclosure net, it resembles an insect trapped in amber, its struggles quickly rendering it powerless. Tracing the threads of causality, I command you to emerge. Li Wei, with fingers poised like a blade, swiftly slashes along the faint yet perceptible line of causality that, despite being ensnared, persists between his imprisoned consciousness and his true self, a line still detectable by the system's heightened perception. With that stroke, infused with his profound understanding of time, space, and causality, he draws upon a sliver of the system's primordial power. A tearing sound reverberates in the void, as if something has been forcefully ripped apart. In the depths of Qiyue's sect, within a seemingly ordinary hall responsible for maintaining the sect's array formations, an emaciated elder clad in a gray robe, seated cross-legged at the center of a complex formation, suddenly spits forth a stream of dark golden blood. His complexion turns as pale as paper, his eyes filled with shock and disbelief. His soul feels as if it has been cleaved by an invisible blade, and the carefully nurtured shadowy divine consciousness, used for clandestine reconnaissance, is forcibly captured and sealed by the adversary, severing all connection. How is this possible? He is merely a mid-level eternal true God. How could he have discovered my shadowy divine consciousness, and even traced it back to harm me? A tempest of turmoil surges within the gray-robed elder, a profound sense of crisis enveloping him. He has been exposed, almost simultaneously with his injury and bloodshed. Li Wei's sea of consciousness has already, based on the captured fragments of divine consciousness and the results of causality tracing, locked onto the target's position and identity. Target locked. Elder of the Array Hall, Mo Yuan. Cultivation level. Pinnacle of eternal true God, disguised. Actual suspicion of being newly ascendant to the saint level, concealed. Correlation with the Shadow Pavilion, 978. Shares the same origin as the hidden mark of the 10,000 Laws Tower dream journey of the Void Traveler. Current state, soul injured. Breath disordered. Elder Mo Yuan of the Array Hall. A mole within the Shadow Pavilion, buried so deeply. Li Wei's gaze turns frigid. A suspected saint hidden within the sect, responsible for array maintenance, is nothing short of a ticking time bomb. Without a moment's hesitation, his true form melds back into the void, darting soundlessly toward the Array Hall. Simultaneously, he sends forth a sliver of his divine thought, directly connecting with the highest authority of Wangyue Peak, issuing an urgent warning to his master, the sect leader of Qiyue. The Moon Yao Divine King, one of his incarnations stationed at the sect master, the Shadow Pavilion, has likely identified Elder Mo Yuan of the Array Hall, suspected of being a saint, with intentions of wrongdoing against the disciples. Please take swift action. As the message transmits, Li Wei appears like a specter outside the Array Hall. He does not force his way in. Instead, he again moves his hands, weaving the laws to manipulate the spatial rules surrounding the hall, instantly establishing an invisible spatial barrier to prevent the adversary from resorting to desperate measures that might damage the sect's crucial formations or facilitate an escape. Inside the hall, Elder Mo Yuan senses Li Wei's arrival at the threshold, and his expression shifts once more, realizing there is no retreat. A glint of ruthlessness and resolve flashes in his eyes. Youngster, you have thwarted my grand designs. Let us perish together. He let out a fierce roar as the concealed saint-level aura within him erupted violently. The intricate patterns of the formation in the side hall instantly ignited with a blinding crimson light, and a tumultuous, chaotic, and utterly destructive energy began to rapidly converge. He intended to detonate the core foundation of the hall, creating chaos to seize the opportunity to escape or even severely injure Li Wei. Stubborn and unyielding, Li Wei snorted coldly. Faced with the impending self-destructing assault of saint-level energy, he did not retreat, but instead advanced. Stepping into the hall and confronting the eye of the energy storm head-on. System, initiate hyperabsorption. Target, self-destruct energy of the formation. Command confirmed. Hyperabsorption initiated. Warning, energy level exceeds threshold, expected absorption load at 95. Buzz. Li Wei's entire being seemed to transform into an invisible black hole. The ferocious energy of the formation, capable of raising a significant portion of the Chiyu sect's core area, was devoured with an insatiable hunger the moment it touched his body, as if all rivers were returning to the sea. The terrifying energy impact was wholly absorbed and transformed into a surging realm value, flooding into his chaotic heart in the realm of the void, absorbing high-concentration chaotic formation energy, converting into realm value 0, 5, 0, 8, 1, 2. Elder Mo Yuan stared in disbelief at the scene before him. His desperate self-destruct strike had failed to force the opponent back even a single step. Instead, it seemed as though he was providing nourishment to his adversary. What manner of monster is this? At that moment of his mental collapse, the cold voice of Li Wei echoed, Void Silence Finger. A dark golden beam, more refined than during the full moon immortal platform, imbued with deeper insights of the primordial Tao, disregarded the residual energy turbulence and instantly struck the center of Elder Mo Yuan's brow. The finger's essence entered his body not to explode immediately, but instead transformed into countless delicate sealing runes that instantaneously sealed all of his divine power, soul, and even the operation of the universe within him. Elder Mo Yuan's body stiffened, his eyes losing all brilliance, as though all support had been withdrawn, collapsing weakly to the ground, his breath dwindling to an ultimate low, completely subdued. From Li Wei's counterattack to tracing the source, and ultimately subduing Mo Yuan in the side hall, the entire process took merely 10 breaths of time. Swift, precise, and ruthless. It showcased an overwhelming display of strength and control. At that moment, a gentle yet boundless moonlight power descended, enveloping the entire side hall and calming the residual energy fluctuations. The voice of the Moon Yao Divine King, cool yet tinged with a hint of approval, resonated in Li Wei's ears. Well done, Weier. In a flash of light and shadow, the avatar of the Moon Yao Divine King appeared in the hall. She cast a glance at the subdued Mo Yuan. Her gaze sharp, the Shadow Pavilion's reach is far too extensive. With a sweep of her sleeve, she gathered the unconscious Mo Yuan, preparing to interrogate him personally. Then, she turned her attention to Li Wei, her eyes filled with unabashed admiration and a hint of inquiry. Once again, you have impressed me, my disciple. Not only have you made rapid progress in your cultivation, but you have also managed to identify and subdue the hidden traitor among the saints. Li Wei bowed respectfully. The disciple was fortunate. Had this individual not actively pried, I would have found it difficult to perceive. He refrained from elaborating on the matters of the system. The divine king of Moon Yao gazed deeply at him, refraining from further inquiry, merely nodding as he remarked. You have accomplished a significant feat in this matter. The sect shall reward you accordingly. Following this incident, the Shadow Pavilion should be deterred from making any rash moves in the near term. However, your ability to continually attract the attention of the Divine King and showcase such potential necessitates greater caution in your future endeavors. I understand, Master, Li Wei replied. As the Divine King of Moon Yao transformed and departed, tranquility returned to the side hall, leaving only traces of battle behind. Alone in the chamber, Li Wei felt the surging divine power within him, a consequence of absorbing vast amounts of energy, and his gaze deepened in contemplation. The Shadow Pavilion's connection to the Ruins of Return seems to involve interests more expansive than previously imagined. Nonetheless, this confrontation served as a warning, temporarily dispelling some of the nuisances surrounding him. He stepped forth, leaving the side hall to return to Moonlight Peak. The hidden puppet masters had begun to reveal themselves. The game was afoot, and he was transitioning from a mere pawn to the position of a player. The path ahead remained shrouded in uncertainty, yet his steps grew increasingly resolute and composed. Chapter 134. The capital stirs, gathering true dragons, unyielding as mountains. Commanding the heroes, the Mo Yuan incident stirred significant ripples among the upper echelons of Chiyu sect, yet under the Divine King's formidable intervention, it was swiftly quelled, evoking little turmoil. The sect publicly declared that Elder Mo Yuan had perished due to a misstep in his cultivation while secretly conducting a purge, unearthing several lower-ranking stewards with ties to the Shadow Pavilion, thus temporarily cleansing their ranks. For his role in exposing the internal traitors, Li Wei was generously rewarded by the sect, receiving a wealth of source crystals, rare medicinal elixirs, and an opportunity to enter the chaos transformation pool for the refinement of his divine body. Within the pool, leveraging the chaotic energies and the system's absorption and transformation capabilities, he further solidified his foundation, elevating the strength of his divine body to a new pinnacle, subtly brushing against the threshold of the late eternal true God stage. As a result of these events, his standing within the sect became increasingly transcendent. Even the long-established core disciples and certain elders treated him with newfound respect, tinged with a hint of reverence. On one particular day, the Divine King of Moon Yao summoned Li Wei to the Grand Hall. Within the hall, the true form of the Divine King sat regally, her aura deep and vast, exuding even more majesty than her avatar. She regarded Li Wei, who stood respectfully below her, and a flicker of satisfaction crossed her eyes. Li Wei, she called, I have summoned you for a matter of significance. In 10 years, our Wu Kingdom will host the Imperial Capital's Genius Battle, a rare event held once every millennium. This contest, overseen by the royal family, will gather all premier forces within the Wu Kingdom's territory, including ancient clans and unparalleled talents among wandering cultivators, limited to those under 1,000,000 years of age. The aim is to select true prodigies for focused cultivation, with the potential for recognition from the royal family and even the higher echelons of the Great Xia dynasty. Li Wei's heart stirred at the mention of the Genius Battle. It presented an excellent opportunity to understand the higher-tier powers of the Origin Continent. The Divine King continued. Our Qi Yu sect possesses 5 direct spots for the ultimate confrontation in the capital. By sect decree, you shall occupy one of these. With your strength within the eternal true God realm, you should fear no opponent. Your goal for this journey is to break into the top 10. Should you secure a place among the top 3, the sect shall bestow even greater rewards and further elevate the prestige of Qi Yu. The disciple shall undoubtedly exert his utmost effort. Li Wei responded calmly, without displaying much excitement. To him, the contest among peers had lost its suspense. His gaze had long since shifted towards distant horizons. The Moonlight God King, perceiving his tranquility, added, "Do not underestimate the heroes of the world. The territory of the Wu Kingdom is vast, concealing countless talents. To my knowledge, within the royal family, there are princes and princesses bearing extraordinary bloodlines, endowed with remarkable gifts. Additionally, some reclusive families have descendants with ancient legacies, and there may even be wandering cultivators who have inherited the teachings of ancient masters. Among them, there may exist prodigies capable of momentarily clashing with those of sacred stature. Furthermore, the contest of talents is not merely a straightforward arena battle. It encompasses exploration of secret realms, teamwork, and various forms that test comprehensive abilities." The disciple understood, vowing not to underestimate his opponents. Li Wei nodded, aware of the truth that there are always greater talents beyond oneself. The vastness of the Origin Continent allows for the emergence of any genius, which is hardly surprising. Well, prepare diligently over the next decade. In 10 years, under the guidance of Elder Mingxin, we shall journey to the royal capital, the Moonlight God King declared, gesturing as a storage ring flew towards Li Wei. Inside are details concerning previous talent contests, as well as profiles of the top geniuses from various factions within the Wu Kingdom. You may study them at your leisure. Thank you, Master, Li Wei replied, accepting the ring and bowing in farewell. Upon returning to Wangyue Peak, Li Wei began to peruse the information contained within the ring. The data was quite comprehensive, documenting the fierce battles of past talent contests and detailing potential formidable adversaries for the current edition. Among them was the third prince, Wu Zhan, a direct descendant of the royal family, possessing the Battle King physique and suspected to be at the pinnacle of the eternal true God realm. Having engaged in 100 exchanges with a newly ascended sacred patron without defeat. There was also Yi Guyun, the heir of the Heavenly Sword sect, whose clarity of sword intent led him to create the 9 Swords of Annihilation, famed for its relentless offensive power, hailed as the foremost among eternal true gods. The Holy Maiden of the Heavenly Machine Pavilion, Dantai Mingyue, was an expert in divination and calculations, her methods inscrutable. Confronting her often led to defeat before the battle even commenced. The wandering cultivator, Bloodblade, hailed from a mysterious background, wielding a fierce and cunning sword technique, suspected to have inherited remnants from a fallen divine monarch. Each name and each record underscored the extraordinary nature of these talents. While many of them indeed instilled a modicum of pressure in Li Wei, it was but a mere whisper of concern. To engage in a fleeting clash with a sacred being within the eternal true God realm? A slight smile graced Li Wei's lips. It was exactly the opportunity to test the limits of his current capabilities. He refrained from hastily advancing his divine powers towards the later stages, instead immersing himself in the comprehension of laws and the honing of secret techniques, utilizing the newly acquired function of the system to weave and accelerate the laws. His mastery over the realms of the heavenly forbidden domain, the Void Tranquil Source Finger, and the Void Shadow Escape grew increasingly adept. He even began experimenting with the integration of more compound laws, particularly that thread of annihilation rhythm elevated to an 11 resolution. For an eternal true god, a decade is but a fleeting moment. One day, before the gates of Qiyue sect, a colossal silver airship, emblazoned with the emblem of the bright moon, hovered in the air, emanating powerful spatial fluctuations. This was one of the sect's treasured flying vessels, the Bright Moon Divine Ship, whose speed far surpassed that of the Moonchaser boat and possessed astonishing defensive capabilities. Elder Mingxin stood at the bow of the ship, flanked by 5 core disciples, including Li Wei. Aside from Li Wei, the other 4 individuals included Qin Hao, who had previously fallen to Li Wei's prowess and had now firmly established himself in the late stage of the eternal true god realm, alongside 3 seasoned core disciples who had also reached the pinnacle of the mid-stage of the eternal true god realm. Aboard the ship, we set sail. At Elder Mingxin's command, the Haoyue divine vessel shimmered with silver light, tearing through the void as it sped towards the imperial capital of the Wu Kingdom. The imperial capital, known as Haoyang City, is situated at the heart of the Wu Kingdom, resting upon a vast, floating continent that eclipses even sects like the Qiyue sect in scale. Towering walls ascend into the clouds, etched with countless powerful formation patterns that emanate a disquieting pressure. Within the city, palaces stand in abundance, and the streets are bustling with activity, the presence of formidable beings palpable everywhere, with eternal true gods as numerous as the stars. And even the aura of those deemed sacred occasionally flickering into existence. The Haoyuep divine vessel descended at the designated airport. As Li Wei and the others followed Elder Mingxin down from the vessel, they were immediately enveloped by the unique opulence of the imperial capital and the intangible aura of a dragon vein, which concentrated the fortunes of countless prodigies. Esteemed friends from the Chiyue sect, this way please. A reception staff, prearranged by the royal family, approached to guide them to their lodging. The Inn area had already gathered a multitude of talents and their accompanying powerful leaders from across the Wu Kingdom. As Li Wei and his companions passed through, they instantly attracted numerous curious gazes. Those are people from the Chiyue sect. Is that Qin Hao? I heard he was the top core disciple of the last generation. In the late stage of the eternal true god realm, quite formidable indeed. And who is that young man in the green robe beside him? His aura seems to be merely at the mid-stage of the eternal true god realm, yet he walks alongside Qin Hao? I don't recognize him. He must be a newly trained disciple of the Chiyue sect. It appears they are so short-staffed that even a mid-stage practitioner has been sent to make up the numbers. Such remarks were made openly, laced with scrutiny and disdain. Qin Hao and the others remained unfazed, evidently accustomed to such scrutiny. Li Wei, however, seemed oblivious, his gaze calmly sweeping over those who whispered, matching them to the information he had previously gathered. What are you staring at? A mere mid-stage eternal true god dares to come to the imperial capital and embarrass himself? A burly man, clad in animal skins and exuding a fierce aura, scoffed. He was a talent from the Barbarian Hall, known as Man Shan, renowned for his strength and at the late stage of the eternal true god realm. Upon sensing Li Wei's gaze, he felt provoked and deliberately unleashed a formidable pressure, akin to a beast's roar, barreling towards Li Wei in an attempt to intimidate him. This overwhelming force caused some mid-stage eternal true god practitioners nearby to change color and instinctively retreat. However, Li Wei remained unperturbed. As if a gentle spring breeze had brushed past him, not even the hem of his garment stirred. He did not spare a glance at Man Shan, merely turning to Qin Hao beside him and stating calmly, the flies of the imperial capital seem to be more bothersome than those of the sect. His voice, though not loud, resonated clearly in the ears of everyone present. Man Shan, enraged by the words, retorted, "You seek death, boy." He stepped forward abruptly, his right fist gathering earthy divine light, infused with the might to shatter mountains and split the earth, hurling it directly towards Li Wei's face, utterly disregarding the fact that they were in the inn area, brazenly attacking. Preposterous. Elder Mingxin frowned, preparing to intervene. Yet, Li Wei stood firm, unflinching, merely raising his right hand with fingers splayed, casually meeting the fist capable of shattering stars. It mirrored his confrontation with Zhao Gang from before. As fists met palms, there was neither a thunderous clap nor a gust of wind. The ferocious might of Man Shan's punch, upon contact with Li Wei's palm, dissipated like countless rivers merging into the sea, vanishing without a trace. All power was consumed and transformed, absorbing physical impact, primal divine power, converting to realm value 0.00001. Man Shan felt as though his fist struck an abyss of nothingness, all strength sinking into the depths, leaving him with an unbearable sense of loss that weighed heavily upon his chest. Terrified, he attempted to retract his fist, only to find it seemingly welded to Li Wei's palm, immovable. Li Wei gently thrust his palm forward. An irresistible, gentle force surged forth. Man Shan's robust, tower-like body was sent hurtling backward as though struck by an invisible star, crashing helplessly against the distant inn's wall with a muffled thud, slowly sliding to the ground. Blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, his eyes wide with shock and bewilderment. The venue fell into an immediate silence. All the geniuses who had previously looked down upon him now stared in disbelief at the calm-faced young man in the azure robe. With a mere flick of his hand, he had sent the renowned powerhouse, Man Shan, flying? Could such a feat truly be accomplished by one at the mid-stage of the eternal true god? Qin Hao gazed at Li Wei's silhouette, a complex expression flashing in his eyes, soon replaced by a sense of resignation. He had long understood that being born in the same era as Li Wei was both their fortune and their misfortune. Elder Mingxin's eyes twinkled with amusement, and he ceased to speak. Li Wei withdrew his hand, as if merely brushing away a bothersome mosquito, casting not even a glance at the astonished Man Shan as he strode directly toward the courtyard of Chiyue sect. Following this incident, no one dared to underestimate this seemingly mid-stage eternal true god disciple of Chiyue sect. In the imperial capital, winds stirred and true dragons converged. Li Wei's unwavering palm had cast a profound shadow in the hearts of many a genius. The true battle of prodigies had yet to commence. Yet the invisible clash had already begun. Chapter 135. The initial display of talent. The minor disturbance at the inn in the imperial capital was akin to a stone cast into a lake. Though it did not stir up great waves, it left an indelible mark in the hearts of the gathered talents. Li Wei's immovable stance and his effortless defeat of Manshan compelled those who had previously held him in contempt to re-evaluate this mid-stage eternal true god from Qiyu sect. In the following days, the imperial capital grew increasingly lively, with various factions arriving in succession, their formidable auras occasionally piercing the sky, causing the void to tremble. Li Wei remained reclusive, spending most of his time in the inn's quiet chamber, utilizing the system's foundational simulation function to construct intricate battle environments. Continually honing his secret techniques and adapting to the immense fortune and pressure of laws converging in the imperial capital. He did not deliberately seek to probe the authenticity of other prodigies. To him, all tricks and embellishments were mere illusions in the face of absolute strength. He needed only to respond to the myriad changes with unwavering steadiness. On this day, at the heart of the imperial capital, before the majestic Haoyang Divine Palace, a vast square teemed with a multitude of people, cultivators from various regions of the Wu Kingdom, alongside competing geniuses from all factions, gathered here. Above the square, numerous colossal luminous screens hovered, broadcasting the grandeur of the genius battle in real time. The sovereign of the Wu Kingdom, a middle-aged man with a formidable presence and an imposing visage, sat in the central seat of the observation platform before the palace. Beside him were several equally formidable figures, representatives of the royal family and major powers, including the embodiment of the moonlit Yao God King. After a brief opening ceremony, a revered elder from the royal family descended from the sky above the square, his voice resonating far and wide. This year's Imperial Capital Genius Battle, Round 1. The 10,000 Laws Ascension. The Ascension consists of 9,999 steps, each embodying various tests of will, perseverance, comprehension, and strength. All are indispensable. Those who ascend the first 3,000 steps shall advance to the next round. Now let it commence. As his words echoed, the ground in the center of the square erupted, revealing a colossal stairway, radiant with a spectrum of colors and inscribed with countless arcane runes, rising majestically into the clouds. The stairway was shrouded in mist, its end obscured, and an overwhelming pressure of laws descended, making it difficult for many spectators at the void true god realm to breathe. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The thousands of prepared prodigies surged skyward like locusts, all aiming for the first step of the stairway. Li Wei did not rush to the forefront. Instead, he ascended the first step leisurely alongside his fellow disciples from the Qiyu sect, Qin Hao and others. As he stepped on, a blend of sharpness akin to gold and the weightiness of earth enveloped him with a tremendous pressure of laws, while a disorienting melody directly affected his soul. This may pose a challenge for ordinary eternal true gods, but for Li Wei, it felt like a gentle breeze brushing against his face. The system activated automatically, absorbing and transforming all the oppressive laws and soul impacts, rendering even the slightest damage too trivial to warrant a notification. With a composed stride, he ascended multiple steps at once, his pace unhurried yet remarkably steady. Many surrounding prodigies struggled against the law's pressure, their movements hindered, some were ensnared by illusions, halted in their tracks. Others, unable to withstand the pressure or having succumbed too deeply to the phantoms, were directly ejected from the stairway, eliminated from the competition. Qin Hao and the others followed closely behind Li Wei, appearing quite at ease. They realized that as long as they remained within a certain proximity to Li Wei, the surrounding pressure of laws seemed to diminish significantly, and the disturbances to their souls became almost negligible. They were secretly astonished, understanding that this must be a result of an aura or ability that Li Wei emanated, deepening their reverence for him. Li Wei did not intentionally assist his companions. It was merely a natural consequence of his own aura circulating. Most of his focus was absorbed in comprehending the essence of the 10,000 Laws Ascension. The system recorded all fluctuations and combinations of laws contained within the stairway, establishing a comprehensive model library of the myriad laws. Command confirm. Within the records, a total of 732 fundamental law combinations, 584 intermediate law combinations, 89 advanced law combinations, and 17 special law fluctuations have been cataloged. The model library continues to be updated and refined. For others, this celestial ladder serves as a trial, yet for Li Wei, who possesses the system, it is akin to a mobile treasury of laws. Like a sponge absorbing water, he eagerly documents and analyzes each manifestation of the laws and the secrets of their combinations, continuously enriching his own foundational understanding. He can even sense that his comprehension of certain laws, which he previously grasped only superficially, is rapidly advancing. His pace accelerates, and as he ascends the ladder thousands of steps, many late-stage and even peak geniuses among the eternal true gods begin to feel the pressure, their speed noticeably diminishing. In contrast, Li Wei maintains his original rhythm, occasionally pausing on certain steps to savor the rare law fluctuations contained therein. His unusual demeanor soon draws attention. Look at Li Wei from the Qiyu sect. How effortlessly he ascends. He has already reached the 5,000th step, yet his speed remains unchanged. It appears he is still comprehending the laws on the ladder. How is this possible? While others struggle against the pressure, he seems to seize the opportunity to cultivate. Gasps of astonishment arise from the observation platform. On the high platform, several prominent figures cast their gazes upon him. The disciple from your sect, Lord of the Moon Yao, is indeed quite remarkable. The Lord of the Wu Kingdom remarks with a smile, glancing at the avatar of the Moon Yao Divine King. The Moon Yao Divine King maintains a calm demeanor, stating, "This youth possesses a certain talent in the realm of laws." Another figure, draped in a starry robe and hailing from the Tiangong Pavilion, regards Li Wei with a profound gaze. With a subtle gesture, he seems to be calculating something. And then his brow furrows slightly as he murmurs, "The celestial mechanisms are chaotic and hard to discern. This child's fate is extraordinary." Unperturbed by the surrounding attention, Li Wei immerses himself entirely in the ocean of laws. As he steps onto the latter half of the celestial ladder, the pressure intensifies, and simulated law attacks begin to manifest, such as blades of flame, swords of ice, and thunderous strikes, potent enough to threaten in ordinary peak eternal true God. Yet, as these attacks approach Li Wei, they dissipate silently into the void, absorbed by the system, transforming into the very sustenance that fuels his ascension. Absorbing composite elemental attacks, converted into realm value 0.001. Absorbing mental illusion impacts, converted into realm value 0.0005. When he steps onto the final rung of the ladder, the 9,999th step, his aura harmonizes, and rather than feeling any fatigue, he radiates vitality, subtly advancing his cultivation further. He is among the first cohort to reach the summit, and notably, he is the only one who appears so relaxed and at ease, as though he has merely taken a leisurely stroll. At the pinnacle, a gathering of individuals has already assembled. The third prince, Wu Zhan, exuded a fierce aura akin to a war deity descending upon the mortal realm. Yi Giyun of the Tianjian sect, cradling an ancient sword, possessed a gaze steeped in solitude. Meanwhile, the enigmatic Dantai Mingyue, her visage veiled in delicate gauze, harbored eyes as profound as a sea of stars. The blood knife cultivator, burdened with a crimson blade, emanated an oppressive malevolence. These elite geniuses collectively cast their scrutinizing glances upon Li Wei, who had just ascended, their expressions laden with gravity and appraisal. Li Wei, with a tranquil demeanor, met their gazes. The essence of Yi Guyun's sword intent, Wu Zhan's martial fervor, Dantai Mingyue's analytical prowess, and the blood knife's menacing aura barely brushed against one another before dissipating, stirring no waves of disturbance. After a brief interval, Qin Hao arrived at the summit. His eyes filled with admiration as they settled upon Li Wei. The first round of the myriad laws of the heavenly ladder concluded, with a mere 2,000 individuals successfully reaching the top 3,000 steps, an astonishing elimination rate. An elder of the royal family announced a day's respite before the next round. Upon returning to the inn, Li Wei prepared to review the day's encounters when suddenly, the system delivered an alert, detected a faint source fluctuation, similarity to the chaos sphere at 0.01, indirect correlation with the Tao rhythm of the returning ruined stone tablet. Source of fluctuation, southeastern region of the imperial capital, underground third level of the Wanbao building, unknown metallic fragment numbered A79. Li Wei's eyes widened in astonishment. A source fluctuation akin to the chaos sphere? Though it was nearly imperceptible, the system was infallible. The Wanbao building in the imperial capital, managed by the royal family of the Wu Kingdom, was the largest treasure trading venue. He immediately rose, not informing anyone, and departed the inn alone towards the southeastern region and the Wanbao building. The Wanbao building sprawled extensively, bustling with activity and vibrancy. Li Wei disregarded the myriad ordinary treasures on the lower two levels and proceeded directly to the third underground level. Here, the majority of wares were ancient relics of unknown origin and uncharted efficacy, often overpriced, yet rife with counterfeits and traps. Following the system's guidance, he swiftly located his target in an inconspicuous corner stall, a dark red copper fragment, palm-sized, rusted, and irregularly edged, seemingly a shard from a larger artifact. The copper piece bore twisted engravings, most of which had worn away. It revealed no energy fluctuations. Were it not for the system's alert, anyone would dismiss it as mere scrap metal. The stall owner, a shrewd elder, noted Li Wei's interest and immediately proclaimed, "Friend, your discernment is commendable. This object was unearthed from an ancient relic site, remarkably resilient. No saintly being could inflict harm upon it. It is undoubtedly a priceless treasure, available for merely 30,000 high-grade source crystals." Li Wei smirked internally. If it were indeed indestructible even to saints, it would hardly have ended up here. Maintaining an impassive expression, he countered, 300. After a round of haggling, they ultimately settled on a price of 1,000 high-grade source crystals. For someone of Li Wei's considerable wealth, this was but a trifling sum. Upon acquiring the copper fragment, he felt its chill and weight. Without revealing any emotion, he concealed it and promptly returned to the inn. Once he set up protective wards, he retrieved the copper fragment, meticulously probing it with his consciousness. It still yielded no discoveries. However, he sensed an exceedingly faint resonance between the system's luminous sphere, nestled deep within his soul, and the copper fragment. System, analyze this item to the fullest extent. Command confirmed. In the analysis, the material is a fusion of chaotic essence and immortal gold, forged over a protracted period and subjected to the erosion of unique rules. It harbors exceedingly faint and fragmented coordinate information. exhibiting a 17 congruence with the descriptions pertaining to the outer ruins, while the degree of information incompleteness stands at 999, rendering it unreadable. It is recommended to seek more similar fragments or to attempt to activate the residual information through stimulation with higher dimensional energy. Coordinate information? The outer ruins? A glimmer of brilliance flashed in Li Wei's eyes. Although the information was nearly useless due to its incompleteness, it undeniably confirmed the connection between this copper piece and the outer ruins. Moreover, it seemed to possess some exceedingly distant link to the chaotic light sphere and the system's origin. It appears that this genius battle in the imperial capital was indeed fortuitous. Li Wei caressed the cold copper piece, his mind swirling with thoughts. The stage of the genius battle, the emergence of clues to the outer ruins, indeed. The city of Haoyang is a gathering of extraordinary talents. He carefully stowed away the copper piece and gazed out at the splendid yet profound night scene of the imperial capital. Tomorrow, the true contest was only just beginning. This unexpectedly acquired copper piece might lead to a pathway unveiling deeper secrets. Chapter 136. The sword shatters, clouds disperse, and silence prevails. The name of Ji Yuan resonates throughout the imperial capital as dark currents surge. The second round of the genius battle in the imperial capital takes place in an independent small world known as the Realm of 10,000 Forms. This realm is intricately woven by several powerful members of the royal family, with an environment that is unpredictable and ever-changing. Mountains, rivers, deserts, ice fields, and even areas of twisted laws are randomly generated, teeming with elemental creatures of varying strengths, and even imprisoned sea monsters. The rules are simple yet brutal. 2,000 qualifiers are randomly scattered throughout the realm of 10,000 forms, vying for the identity tokens possessed by one another. After 10 days, the top 100 holders of tokens will advance. During this period, no means are forbidden, except for the intentional killing of others, monitored by royal forces, who will intervene at critical moments. However, those saved are also deemed eliminated. This is a comprehensive test of strength, luck, stealth, reconnaissance, and the ability to form alliances. Li Wei finds himself randomly transported to an expansive, primordial jungle. Ancient trees tower above, vines twist like dragons, and the air is thick with humidity and decay, concealing numerous venomous insects and fierce beasts, as well as chaotic wood and poison laws. He sweeps his consciousness over the area, and the system instantly constructs a three-dimensional map of the terrain, life fluctuations, and points of law anomaly within a radius of several thousand miles, clearly presenting it in his sea of consciousness. This eliminates the need for exploration. How convenient, Li Wei muses. His figure shimmering as he merges into the shadow of a giant tree, his presence perfectly blending with the surrounding foliage, making it difficult for even a saintly being to discern without meticulous scrutiny. He does not actively seek out prey. For him, collecting tokens is effortless. Instead, he is more intrigued by the opportunity to utilize the complex environment of the realm of 10,000 forms and the various possible attacks he might encounter to further hone his abilities, test newly comprehended secret techniques, and allow the system to record diverse methods of law application across different schools and attributes. Soon, prey approaches him unbidden. 3 disciples from the same sect, the Xianshui Pavilion, seem to have conspired together and discovered the solitary figure of Li Wei, unaware of his concealment. Noticing his cultivation was merely at the mid-level of the eternal true god, they were instantly seized by the urge to rob him. Hand over the token, and you may spare yourself from bodily suffering, sneered the leader, as the trio subtly surrounded Li Wei in a triangular formation, their bodies radiating a blue light and emanating an icy aura that swiftly froze the surrounding forest. Li Wei slowly emerged from the shadows, his expression tranquil, just in time. I shall test my skills on you. He refrained from employing the void silence finger or activating the celestial forbidden domain. Instead, with a mere movement, he slipped between the 3 like a specter, his hands, either fingers or palms, striking seemingly at random. His actions were not swift, yet they encapsulated the perfected essence of time and space, allowing him to narrowly evade their combined assaults. Each strike landed with precision on the pivotal nodes of their divine power or the weakest points of their defenses. Bang, bang, bang. The 3 disciples of the Xianshui Pavilion felt their surging divine energy burst forth like a punctured balloon. Their protective light dimmed instantaneously. Their bodies were uncontrollably propelled backward, crashing through several ancient trees and collapsing to the ground, confusion and terror evident in their eyes. They scarcely comprehended how the attack had transpired, feeling as though their hard-earned techniques were mere child's play before their opponent, utterly inadequate. Li Wei casually collected the identity tokens that had flown from the 3, not sparing them a glance, before once again melding into the shadows and vanishing from sight. Absorbed composite water law impact, converted to realm value 0.00002. Recorded the operational mode of Xianshui Pavilion's cold waves and surging tides, now entered into the database. In the ensuing days, Li Wei drifted through the myriad realms like a phantom. He encountered ambushes laid with lethal formations, faced assaults from ferocious beasts, encountered illusions meant to beguile, and even contended with foes who, emboldened by their strength, attempted to seize him directly. Regardless of the adversary's identity or tactics, the outcome was invariably the same. Formations? The system instantaneously dissected the core and dismantled it with a single finger. Ferocious beasts? Their overwhelming vitality and primal laws were entirely converted into nourishment for the system. Illusions? The spiritual assault swept through the system's barrier like a gentle breeze. Direct assaults? Any form of energy or physical attack diminished significantly, losing 8 to 9/10 of their power as they approached Li Wei, leaving barely a ripple on his garments. He consistently refrained from exerting his full strength, often employing only a fraction of the laws of time and space, combined with optimized void walking and fundamental attacks, effortlessly resolving each conflict. The number of identity tokens he accumulated grew at a steady yet terrifying pace. During this time, he also sensed the presence of Qin Hao and others. However, they seemed to be engaged in their own opportunities and did not hastily reach out. The entire myriad realms were rife with slaughter, contention, alliances, and betrayals, unfolding every moment. On the 7th day, as Li Wei traversed a volcanic region of scorched earth stretching for miles, an unparalleled, piercing sword intent suddenly locked onto him. Buzz! The sound of the sword reverberated through the heavens and the earth, as a gray, misty sword aura surged forth, seemingly emerging from the depths of the abyss. Disregarding the distances of space, and in an instant, it had slashed before Li Wei. Wherever the sword aura passed, the void was left with minute-black cracks, embodying a profound essence of universal tranquility. From the Heavenly Sword sect, Yi Guiyun had finally located Li Wei, or rather, the steadily increasing number of tokens in Li Wei's possession, which had drawn his attention. This sword, named Desolation, was the initial move of the 9 swords created by Yi Guiyun, epitomizing the quintessence of his swordsmanship. Its speed reached the zenith of swiftness, with the force of attack condensed into a single point. For an ordinary peak true god, once locked onto, evasion was nearly impossible. One could only take the blow, and to do so meant risking either injury or death. Confronted with this sudden strike, capable of threatening even those of ordinary saintly stature, a flicker of seriousness finally crossed Li Wei's eyes. He chose not to forcibly absorb the energy through the system, for the level of power contained within this sword was exceedingly high, imbued with a unique essence of desolation, and forcibly absorbing it would be quite burdensome. He also refrained from utilizing the void escape technique to evade, as the sword had already locked onto his aura, making mere spatial displacement insufficient for complete escape. Instead, he opted to counterattack. With his fingertip poised like a sword, a dark golden radiance coalesced at its tip, no longer restrained as before. A sense of finality enveloped the surroundings, momentarily silencing the surrounding volcanoes, as the essence of the Path of Ruins permeated the air. This was, indeed, the Void Desolation Finger. However, he controlled its power, employing only about 30% of its potential. In the void, the fingertip collided with the gray sword aura in an unadorned manner. There was no deafening roar, only a sound reminiscent of shattering glass. In the next moment, on the distant edge of a volcanic crater, Yi Guiyun, cradling his ancient sword, abruptly narrowed his eyes. His invincible sword aura, infused with his own essence of desolation, encountered the dark golden fingertip, as if meeting its nemesis. The deeper, more fundamental essence of finality within the fingertip violently cleaved through his desolation's sword intent, dismantling and obliterating it. The gray sword aura dissipated rapidly, akin to snow melting under the sun. Meanwhile, the dark golden fingertip, despite having lost a significant portion of its strength, remained cohesive, as if imbued with life. Tracing an eerie arc through the air, hurtling towards Yi Guiyun himself, Yi Guiyun's expression shifted slightly, as he swiftly drew his ancient sword 3 inches from its sheath. With a clang, a more refined and darker sword force erupted from the ancient sword sheath, meeting the residual fingertip. The ensuing explosion unleashed a fierce wave of energy, flattening several volcanoes below and sending magma soaring into the sky. The sword force and fingertip were simultaneously extinguished. Yi Guiyun's hand trembled slightly as he held the sword. Though he had successfully blocked the attack, he could feel that the essence contained within the opponent's fingertip had entirely overpowered his desolation sword intent on a fundamental level. Had the opponent not seemingly held back, he likely would have been injured from that last strike. He lifted his gaze, his expression gravely serious as he looked towards the distance, where Li Wei remained composed. What kind of finger technique is this? Yi Guiyun's voice carried a hint of hoarseness. Li Wei retracted his fingers and replied calmly, "The Great Void, Tranquil Origin Finger." Great Void, Tranquil Origin, Yi Guiyun murmured, a flicker of enlightenment and defeat crossing his eyes. It dawned on him that his obliteration was not a true end. Today, he had learned something valuable. He gazed deeply at Li Wei, with no intention of striking again. He recognized that, on the path, he had already lost. Continuing the fight would be futile. He turned and transformed into a beam of sword light, vanishing in an instant. Not even attempting to contend for the tokens, Li Wei observed the direction in which Yi Guiyun departed, nodding slightly. The man's dedication and purity in the sword path were worthy of respect. That previous exchange of techniques had also granted Li Wei new insights into his own application of the obliteration's rhythm. Recording high-level obliteration sword intent fluctuations. Comparing with the host's obliteration rhythm, resolution enhanced to 13. Data recording of the Great Void Tranquil Origin Finger against Sword Intent completed. Optimization plan in progress. The system's prompt resonated at an opportune moment. Yi Guyun had retreated, although the process was not directly broadcasted by the light curtain. When the spectators noticed Yi Guyun's token rank stagnating, even slightly decreasing, while Li Wei's rank surged dramatically, astute observers began to piece together the scenario from scattered energy fluctuations within the myriad realms. Outside, an uproar ensued. Yi Guyun of the Heavenly Sword Sect, recognized as the foremost in offense, had been defeated by Li Wei of the Chiyue sect. To what extent had Li Wei's strength ascended? On the viewing platform, the elder leading the Heavenly Sword Sect bore a grim expression, while the Moon Yao Divine King's avatar bore a subtle, enigmatic smile. The gaze of the Wu Kingdom's sovereign and others turned more profound as they beheld Li Wei's figure in the light curtain. Following this battle, the name Li Wei truly entered the sight of all top-tier powers and prodigies, no longer merely the enigmatic disciple of the Chiyue sect, but a formidable contender believed to possess the strength to vie for the top 10, even challenging for the top 3. The undercurrents of the imperial capital surged more violently due to Li Wei's astounding finger technique. As for Li Wei himself, after repelling Yi Guyun, he calmly collected the tokens left behind and once again melded into the shadows of the myriad realms, continuing his cultivation and accumulation. His true objective remained far from achieved. This fleeting fame was merely a stepping stone toward greater heights. Chapter 137. The Forge of Combat Intent Tempering the Self. The 9 orifices enlightened, breaking limits. Yi Guyun's retreat was akin to cold water splashed into a boiling pot of oil, causing the entire myriad realms and the observing audience to erupt. The name Li Wei was no longer just synonymous with mystery and potential, but closely intertwined with notions of pinnacle, strength, and invincibility. The remaining geniuses within the myriad realms, upon sensing Li Wei's aura, felt a wave of trepidation, keeping their distance, as none dared to provoke him lightly. Consequently, the number of Li Wei's tokens grew at a slower pace. Yet this did not affect his consistent position among the foremost ranks. For this, Li Wei welcomed the tranquility. He continued to traverse the perilous environments of the myriad realms, actively seeking out formidable elemental beings, imprisoned ferocious beasts, and even deliberately triggering perilous natural abysses. The tempestuous thunder abyss, the soul-chilling nether-cold pool, and the gravity-warped valleys capable of crushing divine bodies became his most cherished training grounds. The system operated at full capacity, ceaselessly absorbing and transforming extreme energy shocks, law erosions, and environmental damages. Absorbing the essence of destructive thunder, divine body activity enhanced, lightning resistance significantly increased, converting to realm value 0005. Absorbing the coldness of the nether, soul refinement degree elevated, converting to realm value 0003. Absorbing energy from the warped gravitational field. Stability of the chaotic core strengthened, converting to realm value 0004. His divine body grew increasingly resilient through cycles of destruction and rebirth, while the chaotic core shone ever more brilliantly under the onslaught of violent energies, enhancing his resistance to and understanding of various laws. He resembled a piece of unparalleled divine iron, willingly immersing himself in the furnace of heaven and earth, undergoing relentless tempering to eliminate the superfluous. During this time, he sensed several clashes among other top-tier prodigies from afar. The clash between the third Prince Wu Zhan and the Rogue Bloodblade unleashed a surge of battle intent and murderous aura that swept across miles. Ultimately, Bloodblade retreated with injuries, while Dan Tai Mingyue of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion summoned the Cosmic Stellar Force with a mere wave, ensnaring several powerful enemies and retrieving a token without shedding blood. Qin Hao also encountered formidable opponents, and after a fierce struggle, he triumphed over his adversary through the strength of his solid foundation and the invisible pressure brought by Li Wei. As the 10-day deadline approached, Li Wei's cultivation, through such frenzied self-torturous training and the system's efficient transformations, had reached the pinnacle of the mid-stage eternal true god, mere moments away from the later stage. His accumulated foundation was overwhelmingly substantial, and the energy required for this final push far exceeded ordinary imagination. On this day, he deliberately sought out a perilous location, the furnace of sky and sea. This was an endless fire domain situated in the core region of the myriad realms, where the ground split open, spewing chaotic colored flames, and the sky flowed with a crimson golden lava waterfall. The temperature was so high that it could instantaneously vaporize an ordinary eternal true god. Even more terrifying was the annihilative law contained within the flames, capable of directly incinerating the soul and destroying the core of realms. This place was regarded as one of the most dangerous areas in the myriad realms, with few daring to approach. Yet, Li Wei stepped forward without hesitation, plunging into its depths. Boom! The chaotic flames immediately engulfed him, and the annihilative law pierced his divine body, soul, and core like millions of red-hot steel needles. Even with the protection of the system, the terrifying damage inflicted upon him brought back a long-lost sensation of intense pain, charring the surface of his divine body and emitting a sizzling sound. Warning: enduring ultra-high intensity composite flame and annihilative law damage. Absorption load 92. Transformation efficiency maximized. Divine body damaged 7. Rapid repair in progress. Soul undergoing erosion. System barrier fully activated. Chaotic core under pressure, stability enhanced. The system's alarm blared urgently, with the transformed realm values flooding in like a burst dam. 001, 002, 005. Li Wei sat cross-legged amidst the raging flames, his mind resolutely focused as he activated the Tai, Su Huajiepian, channeling the ferocious energy that washed over every inch of his flesh and spirit, infiltrating the very corners of his realm's essence. The potency of the 9-aperture Tong Sheng pill he had previously consumed was fully unleashed under this extreme external pressure and internal guidance. The profound Tao rhythms of the 9 pathways to the sanctified realm contained within the elixir resonated with his own tenfold perfect genes, the chaotic heart of his realm, and the ethereal void he inhabited. Buzz. His body transformed into a colossal furnace, surrounded by the chaotic flames that scorched the heavens and boiled the seas. While within him surged the immense energy of the 9-aperture Tong Xian and the system's transformative power. The internal and external forces clashed, forging his very life essence. Crack. A sound akin to a barrier shattering resonated from the depths of his soul. Li Wei's aura surged dramatically. The charred exterior of his divine body instantaneously shed, revealing beneath it a new divine form as translucent and resplendent as a crystal gem, yet brimming with infinite power. The chaotic heart within him expanded suddenly, its rotation accelerating, enhancing the efficiency of his divine energy absorption manifold. The ethereal void erupted, expanding from 300,000 miles to 600,000 miles. Within this realm, the laws became increasingly lucid, the structure more stable, even spontaneously generating tiny life imprints. He had ascended to the late stage of the eternal true God. It was a natural progression. Moreover, owing to the profundities of the 9-aperture Tongxing pill and the tempering of this ultimate breakthrough, he not only solidified his realm upon breaking through, but directly reached the mid to late stage benchmark. His strength underwent a cataclysmic transformation. He opened his eyes, and within them flickered 2 flames of chaos, which soon faded, returning to tranquility. His surging aura quickly retracted, yet the profound essence therein grew even more intense. At last, he had reached the late stage. Feeling the divine power within him surging like the mighty Yangtze River, along with a clearer and more acute perception of the laws, he experienced profound serenity. The enhancement in strength brought about by his breakthrough was anticipated. With a mere thought, the chaotic flames surrounding him became docile, as if they had encountered a sovereign, ceasing to harm him and instead swirling around him like loyal subjects. Host has successfully adapted to the law of annihilation. Fire resistance elevated to its zenith, with a deepened comprehension of fire laws. System authority unlock progress, 060, 061, 062. His permissions had also ascended once more. Li Wei sensed that the system, in tandem with his elevation in life essence, was undergoing subtle changes, forging a tighter bond with him. As the 10-day period concluded, a powerful spatial force enveloped the entirety of the Wanxiang realm, transporting all surviving prodigies away. In the square, the light curtain solidified, revealing the final rankings. Li Wei, bolstered by his late-stage accumulation and the token gifted by Yi Giyun, secured the 3rd position. The first was the 3rd Prince Wu Zhan, who seemed to have encountered his own serendipity, his aura even more formidable than at the outset. The second was Dan Tai Mingyue of the Tianji Pavilion, whose methods of collecting tokens were enigmatic and astonishingly prolific. Qin Hao ranked 27th, successfully advancing into the top 100. As Li Wei appeared in the square, countless gazes instantly converged upon him, especially when his aura, which had evidently reached the late stage of the eternal true God realm, was no longer deliberately concealed. It naturally emanated forth, eliciting a collective gasp of astonishment. The late stage of the eternal true God. Wasn't he in the mid-stage when he entered? In just 10 days, mere 10 days, and he managed to break through in the realm of myriad manifestations? Moreover, achieving such a breakthrough in that challenging environment, could this fellow truly be a prodigy? Even the sovereign of the Wu Kingdom and the divine King Yu Yao on the high platform exchanged glances of surprise. In a perilous competitive atmosphere, breakthroughs were not uncommon. Yet someone like Li Wei, whose aura post-breakthrough was so harmonious and stable, as if honed over centuries, was indeed a rarity. The 3rd prince, Wu Zhan, gazed at Li Wei, his fighting spirit elevated, as if he had found a worthy adversary. Under the veil of Dan Tai Mingyue, her eyes revealed a rare seriousness. The royal elder announced the list of those who advanced and informed that the final ranking battle among the top 100 would be held 3 days hence at the Chaos Arena within the Haoyang Divine Palace, where an open arena competition format would determine the ultimate standings. As the crowd dispersed, Li Wei was preparing to return to the inn when a voice transmission reached his ears. It was Elder Mingxin. Li Wei, well done. However, in the final ranking battle, you must exercise greater caution. Wu Zhan possesses the War King physique, granting him the ability to battle beyond his rank. Dan Tai Mingyue is adept in the art of celestial calculations, her methods enigmatic. Furthermore, among the top 100, there are several who are deeply concealed and must not be underestimated, especially regarding the royal family's schemes. Li Wei's gaze flickered slightly, and he nodded imperceptibly. The royal family's schemes? It seemed this final battle would not merely be a straightforward arena contest. Nonetheless, he felt no trepidation. With his breakthrough to the late stage, his strength had surged tremendously, and he required worthy opponents to validate his prowess. He lifted his eyes toward the majestic Haoyang Divine Palace. His expression calm, yet laced with anticipation. The Chaos Arena? Precisely what he needed to serve as a litmus test for his current strength. The storm of the imperial capital had reached its zenith. This ultimate battle would undoubtedly mark the beginning of Li Wei's true renown within the Wu Kingdom, propelling him onto a broader stage. Chapter 138. The Chaos Arena. In 3 fleeting days, time passed swiftly. Deep within the Haoyang Divine Palace, a colossal arena suspended amidst chaotic currents became the focal point of attention for the entire Wu Kingdom and its neighboring realms. The arena was constructed from a rare material known as Chaos Primordial Stone, naturally inscribed with patterns that reinforced and balanced the laws, capable of withstanding any combat aftermath below the Divine King level. Surrounding the arena were tiered spectator seats, now filled to capacity, with powerful cultivators visible everywhere, alongside numerous saintly existences concealed in the void, silently observing the battles. The top 100 geniuses stood in designated areas around the arena, each exuding an awe-inspiring aura, their divine light encapsulated, resembling 100 brilliant stars poised to clash upon the Chaos Arena. The sovereign of the Wu Kingdom personally presided over the event, declaring the rules for the final ranking battle, a combination of defending and attacking the arena. Initially, the challengers are selected from those ranked lower in the previous round, with the victor ascending to take their place, either opting to continue defending their position or resting. The defeated participant is granted a singular opportunity for resurrection and a subsequent challenge. Ultimately, the top 10 are determined through a comprehensive assessment of successful defenses and the quality of opponents vanquished. The top 10 then engage in a round-robin tournament to ascertain the final standings. The rules are straightforward yet laden with unpredictability and brutality. This contest not only tests prowess but also one's foresight, strategy, and endurance in battle. The moment of combat erupts. The initial challenges predominantly occur among the lower-ranked prodigies, fierce yet lacking in significant impact. Notable figures such as Li Wei, Wu Zhan, and Dantai Mingyue remain unchallenged, taking this time to meditate and rejuvenate. As time progresses, challenges begin to ascend in intensity. A 36th-ranked rogue, wielding an exquisite mastery of toxic arts, triumphs over 3 opponents in succession, their confidence surging, ultimately setting sights on the 27th-ranked Qin Hao. Qin Hao of Qiyue sect, dare you engage in battle? The rogue's voice is raspy, surrounded by swirling green mist that even the chaotic primordial stone arena seems to hiss under its corrosive influence. Qin Hao, eyes suddenly wide open, exclaims with fervor. What is there to fear? Instantly, the two engage in a fierce confrontation. Qin Hao's vast ocean domain unfurls, where azure waters clash violently with the green poisonous mist. The laws of combat roaring. The rogue's toxic techniques are devious and elusive, momentarily leaving Qin Hao at a disadvantage, with part of his divine body corroded. Nevertheless, his solid foundation and remarkable resilience shine through, and ultimately, leveraging his superior divine strength and deeper comprehension of his domain, he seizes upon a flaw in his opponent's defense. With a mighty strike, he disperses the core of the toxic mist, sending the rogue plummeting from the stage, successfully defending his position. Indeed, the Qiyue sect is a bastion of talent. Qin Hao proves himself commendable, steady, and resolute. A murmur of approval arises from the spectator seats. The performance of the Qiyue sect is truly noteworthy. Subsequently, challenges persist, with prodigies ranked in the teens and 20s being systematically confronted, leading to increasingly intense and spectacular battles. Among them, the wild and untamed Mingshan, who once crossed paths with Li Wei, harnesses his ferocious strength to triumph over his foe, ascending to the 51st position. At last, some gazes shift towards the pinnacle of rankings. A prodigy named Lin Yun, hailing from the venerable Lin family and ranked 11th, after thorough observation, selects Li Wei as his challenger. In his estimation, while Li Wei is formidable, he has only recently ascended to the late stage of eternal true godhood, and his realm may not yet be fully stabilized. Additionally, his previously exhibited tactics seem inclined towards defense and peculiar absorption abilities, potentially lacking in direct assault. In contrast, Lin Yun's ancestral meteor fist is unparalleled in its ferocity and excels in offense. Li Wei, my friend, I seek your guidance. Lin Yun vaults onto the substage where Li Wei stands, clasping his fists in salute, his gaze piercing. Li Wei slowly opens his eyes, appraising Lin Yun, and calmly states, "You are not my match, step down." Upon hearing this, not only does Lin Yun look taken aback, but the audience erupts into murmurs of disbelief. Such audacity. While Li Wei is indeed powerful, Lin Yun's meteor fist is no trivial matter. Surely he possesses the capacity to contend. This seems exceedingly presumptuous. Lin Yun's expression darkens. Whether we are rivals can only be determined through combat. Receive my blow, meteor fall. He ceased to speak further, and within him, divine power erupted with an overwhelming force, illuminating his entire being with a radiant starlight, as though he had summoned the celestial energies of the 9 heavens. A colossal phantom of a star, ablaze with blinding white flames, coalesced above his right fist, embodying the terrifying will to annihilate all that exists. It surged towards Li Wei with a ferocious intent. As the punch advanced, chaotic energies were dispersed, and the fabric of space twisted in its wake. This strike had reached the pinnacle of the eternal true God realm, perilously close to the might of a saint. In the face of a blow capable of shattering vast stellar domains, Li Wei remained seated, not even hinting at the desire to rise. He simply raised his right hand and gently pressed downward towards the oncoming cosmic strike. There was no overwhelming surge of divine power, nor the tumult of laws in motion. Instead, an invisible force, seemingly derived from the very essence of the universe, descended upon the arena space with his gesture. The words he uttered translated into law, not in the manner of a true ruler of chaos, who commands the laws with mere utterance, but through Li Wei's perfected understanding of temporal and spatial laws. His formidable spiritual will, and his nascent ability to weave systemic laws, he forcefully established temporary rules within a designated area. The rule he imposed was that within this space, the release of energy for impact was strictly forbidden. Buzz, the formidable cosmic strike, upon nearing Li Wei by 10 paces, seemed to collide with an invisible, yet utterly insurmountable barrier. The terrifying stellar force condensed within the punch, along with the searing white flames, was as if erased, smoothed out by an unseen hand, dissipating into nothingness in an instant. Lin Yun, who had been advancing, suddenly halted, feeling a temporary severance from the laws governing the surrounding world, rendering his divine power incomprehensible. He exerted every ounce of his strength to maintain his punch, yet the force capable of causing celestial downfall could not even ruffle the opponent's garments. What kind of technique is this? Lin Yun was filled with horror and disbelief. Li Wei lowered his hand, and the invisible order dissipated alongside it. He continued to gaze at Lin Yun with calmness. Do you wish to continue? Lin Yun's face turned pale, beads of cold sweat trickling down. His most powerful attack had failed to even graze his opponent's defenses. He was unsure if there were any to begin with. How could he continue fighting? A profound sense of helplessness surged within him. Struggling to swallow, he reluctantly withdrew his fist and bowed deeply to Li Wei. Brotherly, your prowess is unparalleled, I concede. With that, he despondently descended from the arena. The audience was enveloped in an eerie silence. Everyone was stunned by this extraordinarily bizarre scene. There were no earth-shattering collisions, no dazzling exchanges of secret arts. Li Wei merely sat there, lightly pressing down, and the mightiest strike of a top-tier genius vanished into thin air, compelling the opponent to concede voluntarily. Words manifested as law. Had he truly ascended to the status of a saint? A knowledgeable elder gasped in astonishment. It is impossible. His life force was unmistakably that of an eternal true god. Yet, such a technique, another murmured, unable to comprehend it. Upon the high platform, the ruler of the Wu Kingdom's eyes sparkled with brilliance, his body involuntarily leaning forward. The serene facade of the Moon Yao Divine King belied the subtle movement of his fingers within his sleeves. The esteemed figure from the Tianji Pavilion furrowed his brow, his gestures transforming rapidly as if he were desperately attempting to calculate some profound truth. This young man has, indeed, begun to touch upon the realm of the rules. The sovereign of the Wu Kingdom spoke in a deep tone, laced with disbelief, a rarity unseen throughout the ages. The nonchalant display by Li Wei was a shock that surpassed the earlier defeat of Yi Guiyun by a factor of 10. This feat transcended the comprehension of ordinary eternal true gods, brushing against the edges of a higher power. Following this battle, none dared to challenge Li Wei lightly. His arena had seemingly morphed into an absolute forbidden zone. The challenges persisted, yet all minds were, to varying degrees, captivated by the inscrutable techniques of Li Wei. The third prince, Wu Zhan, faced his own challengers, unleashing his Battle King form to obliterate a 9th-ranked genius from a prestigious family with 3 overwhelming strikes, showcasing an invincible presence. Dan Tai Mingyue was even more enigmatic. Challengers often succumbed to her starry illusion before they could even make a move, falling into defeat in a daze. Bloodblade, Qin Hao, and others also successfully defended their positions. Ultimately, after several rounds of intense competition, the final list of the top 10 was confirmed. Li Wei, Wu Zhan, and Dan Tai Mingyue were indisputably among them, with Qin Hao securing the 9th position through a steady performance. The remaining individuals were also renowned prodigies of extraordinary caliber. The atmosphere of the chaotic arena reached its zenith at that moment. A true battle of dragons and tigers was about to unfold in this round-robin among the top 10. Li Wei, undoubtedly, emerged as the most formidable contender in everyone's hearts, the one whose depths were unfathomable, and the one most likely to ascend to the pinnacle. His gaze swept across the other 9, lingering slightly on Wu Zhan and Dan Tai Mingyue. I hope you will allow me to be a tad more serious. Chapter 139. The fist that shakes the universe finally bows, as the abyss calls forth the divine King's gaze. In the chaotic arena, the top 10 round-robin battles commenced. This was the ultimate stage to determine the highest honor of the young generation in the Wu Kingdom, with every battle stirring the hearts and minds of countless spectators. The draw determined the opponents, and Li Wei's first match was against the most murderous and cunning swordsman of the scattered cultivators, Bloodblade. With his blood-red long sword slung over his shoulder, Bloodblade ascended the arena step by step, each movement intensifying the malevolent aura surrounding him. Upon reaching the center of the stage, he seemed to transform into a drawn, fierce blade, the space around him faintly tinged with crimson. The chilling intent of slaughter rendering many of the weaker spectators pale. Li Wei, you are indeed formidable, Bloodblade rasped, his voice reminiscent of metal scraping against metal. Yet my blade has tasted the blood of the saints. Your defenses may not withstand my saint-slaying blade. His words were not mere bravado. The lingering resentment and aura of destruction surrounding that Bloodblade undoubtedly bore traces of the laws belonging to a saintly being, clearly hinting at a history of glorious victories. Li Wei regarded him with calmness, extending a hand in a gesture of invitation. Kill. Without further ado, Bloodblade drew his sword with a fierce determination. There was no dazzling flash of blades, only a fine, dark red line, as thin as a hair and nearly merging with the void, slicing toward Li Wei at a speed that transcended the confines of time. This strike embodied his lifelong will to kill and a thread of the path of slaying saints, disregarding most physical and energetic defenses, aiming directly at the essence of life and the core of the soul, slaying the saint, with no possibility of escape. As this line passed, even the space of the chaotic arena was silently cleaved, leaving behind a minute black scar that could not heal for a long time. Faced with this extraordinarily bizarre attack, a flicker of astonishment finally crossed Li Wei's eyes. The caliber of this strike indeed surpassed that of an ordinary eternal true god. Touching upon the fundamental concept of the laws of slaughter, he did not evade, nor did he forcibly absorb the energy through the system. For the energy of this strike was condensed to the extreme and contained a special resonance, making the absorption efficiency low. He raised his right hand once more. But this time, it was not a mere downward press. His fingers spread wide, each fingertip enveloped by a different radiant light of the laws, the sharpness of gold, the vitality of wood, the flexibility of water, the explosiveness of fire, and the heaviness of earth. The 5 colors of light swirled and instantaneously evolved before his palm into a miniature, ever-revolving world of the 5 elements. Rather than a defense, it constructed an unceasing barrier of laws through the interplay of the 5 elements. With a hiss, that dark red line of slaying saints penetrated the barrier of the 5 elements, as if trapped in an endless cycle. The piercing force of gold attempted to slice through, only to be deflected by the supple force of water. The explosive force of fire sought to incinerate it, yet was absorbed and suppressed by the weighty force of earth. The vitality of wood incessantly eroded the deathly intent contained within the blade. The cycle of the 5 elements continued, endlessly flourishing. That terrifying strike, capable of slaughtering those newly entering the realm of saints, slowed before this seemingly fragile barrier, its brilliance dimming until, like a venomous snake ensnared in a mire, it struggled for a moment before utterly disintegrating into nothingness. Impossible. The Blood Knife's eyes widened in rage. His strongest trump card had been effortlessly neutralized by the opponent. Li Wei, having dispelled the blade's trajectory, did not retract his palm but instead thrust it forward. The phantom of the 5-element world suddenly expanded, transforming into a massive, chaotic-colored hand that blotted out the sky. Within its palm, the 5 elements reversed, chaos ensued. As if it bore the weight of an impending universe on the brink of collapse, descending upon the Blood Knife with overwhelming force. The universe trembled. This was a preliminary killing move, an amalgamation of Li Wei's insights that transcended the scope of the Void's silent finger. Although he did not employ the resonance of the return to the Void, its power, rooted in his chaotic heart and the realm of the Void, was already terrifyingly formidable. The Blood Knife roared in fury, slashing wildly, yet the crimson blades failed to thwart the advance of that chaotic hand. Under the hand's dominion, all laws were disrupted and suppressed. Boom. The entire chaotic arena shook violently. When the light finally dissipated, all present beheld the Blood Knife, half kneeling on the ground. The blade that had tasted the blood of saints shattered into several pieces. His aura was waning, blood oozing continuously from his 7 orifices, clearly gravely wounded. Li Wei stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his garments billowing gracefully. You have my respect. One move. Once again, a single move. After suffering a series of defeats, Yi Giyun, following Lin Yun's fall, delivered a devastating blow to the notorious Bloodblade. Following a moment of utter silence, the arena erupted into an uproar. Li Wei's formidable prowess had already penetrated the hearts of the spectators, leaving them in awe of his depth and mystery. The ensuing battles became a solo exhibition of Li Wei's might. Against another physically robust genius from the ancient clan, he unleashed his raw strength, sending his opponent flying with a single punch, fracturing their divine form. Against a master of illusion, a mental practitioner, he cast a glance, causing the myriad illusions constructed by his adversary to shatter instantaneously, resulting in a backlash that rendered them unconscious. His techniques were inexhaustible, sometimes revolving around the 5 elements, other times imprisoning time and space, or crushing with pure laws of strength, as if he possessed neither shortcomings nor limits. Each victory flowed forth like an unstoppable torrent, propelling him towards the ultimate showdown against his rival, the 3rd prince, Wu Zhan, who had also bulldozed his way through the competition. At this moment, Wu Zhan's aura had surged to its zenith, fully activating his War King physique, enveloped in a tangible golden battle aura. Reminiscent of a war god emerging from the annals of ancient times, his battle intent so intense, it could almost ignite the entire chaotic arena. Li Wei, at long last, I await you. Wu Zhan's voice thundered, his fists clenched tightly, bones cracking in anticipation. Let me witness whether your techniques reach the heavens, or if my war king physique can conquer the earth and shatter all. Li Wei gazed at him, and for the first time on the arena, he took a deliberate step forward. With that single step, the calm and restrained aura that had enveloped him transformed dramatically. An overwhelming presence, akin to the primordial source of the universe and the ultimate end of all things, began to permeate the air. Within the depths of his gaze, his left eye resembled the dawn of creation, brimming with infinite vitality, while his right eye embodied the silence of annihilation, containing the essence of ultimate stillness. As you wish. Li Wei raised his hand, no longer conjuring the 5 elements, nor invoking chaotic hands. His index and middle fingers came together, slowly pointing forth. At the tip of his fingers, a singular, profound dark radiance began to coalesce, as if it were devouring all surrounding light and sound, causing even the chaotic currents to retreat. An aura of desolation, reflecting the essence of the ultimate void, erupted without restraint, causing even the exalted beings in the arena to change countenance, and even the hidden Moon Yao Divine King to focus intently. The void desolation finger, unleashed in full force, merging the 13th resolution of the essence of the void, bolstered by the eternal true God's late-stage cultivation and unparalleled mastery over energy. As the War King descended, his fist poised to dominate the world, Wu Zhan sensed an unprecedented threat of death, roaring to the heavens as he pushed his War King physique to its utmost limits, summoning a towering golden war god phantom that merged with him, delivering the most powerful punch of his life. As the fist struck forth, it seemed as if the very fortune of the entire Wu Kingdom was infused within it, radiating brilliance, intent on shattering the chaos with a single blow. The dark golden radiance of the finger collided with the resplendent golden fist at the center of the arena, resulting in a thunderous clash. There was no sound, no rampant energy, only an expanse of absolute void emanating from the point of collision. The golden fist, akin to a foe's nemesis, found its indomitable fighting spirit and the weighty fortune of the nation rendered as ephemeral as froth under the sun, swiftly fading, disintegrating, and ultimately dissolving into absolute oblivion before the delicate, dark golden glimmer of a finger. This glimmer pierced through the fist, landing upon the brow of Wu Zhan's ethereal war god manifestation. With a crack, the war god's visage, resembling fragile glass, shattered with a thunderous roar. Wu Zhan, as if struck by lightning, was sent hurtling backward, his golden battle aura dissipating in an instant, blood gushing forth as he crashed against the barrier at the edge of the arena, sliding down, struggling in vain to rise. He had been defeated. The foremost of the younger generation of Wu, bearer of the War King's physique, and the third Prince Wu Zhan, had succumbed beneath the singular finger of Li Wei, which could bring all things to an end. The arena fell into a deathly silence, punctuated only by the sound of a pin dropping. Every spectator was left speechless, awestruck by the final outcome. Yet, at the moment Li Wei retracted his finger, as the essence of the void gradually receded, a low hum resonated. The sky above Haoyang City, nay, the entire domain of the Wu Kingdom, darkened for the third time, without warning. That vast, imposing, and indifferent will of the Divine King descended once more. This time, it was not merely a sweeping gaze, it bore a hint of palpable anger and focus. Like an actual gaze penetrating through layers of void, firmly fixating upon Li Wei, who had just wielded the essence of the void on the chaotic arena. You aberration. Surrender the forbidden power you possess. A voice, grand and seemingly emanating from the heavens, resounded with supreme authority, echoing like a myriad of thunderclaps throughout the imperial capital. The Divine King was enraged. He manifested his will personally and demanded compliance. In an instant, the world lost its color, silence enveloped all, and every being below the sacred rank trembled in fear, rendered immobile beneath the weight of this will and voice. Li Wei instantly became the focal point of the universe, the eye of the storm. He raised his gaze toward the infinite heights of the firmament, his expression cold and serene. What was destined to arrive had, at last, come to pass. Chapter 140. The Divine King's pressure commanding the universe, the light sphere of desperation unveiling new paths. The will of the Divine King bore down like the mass of the entire cosmos, converging upon Li Wei. The grand declaration to surrender the forbidden power was not merely a sound. It embodied the supreme laws, directly impacting the essence of the soul, attempting to forcibly sever Li Wei's connection to the system and the thread of the void's essence. The barrier of the chaotic arena, capable of withstanding confrontations of the sacred rank, trembled violently before this will, nearly collapsing. Li Wei, at the forefront, felt as if his very soul were being torn asunder. The heart of the chaotic realm quaking madly, and even the realm of the void began to destabilize. The system's luminescent sphere vibrated at an unprecedented frequency, emitting a piercing alarm as it strained to contract and protect against the pervasive encroachment of the laws and the oppressive will. Warning. Undergoing high-dimensional Divine King level will lock and law severance attack. System defenses overloaded. Load at 99. Host soul damaged. 1, 3, 5. The rhythm of the return to the void is being forcefully drawn, posing a risk of losing control. The shadow of death has never been so vividly pronounced. In the presence of a true God King, even his current strength feels like an ant gazing up at a celestial dragon. The disparity, so profound it breeds despair. Yet, his gaze remains frigid, his spine erect, as he fervently channels the essence of the void, resisting the overwhelming divine might with sheer willpower. Desperately clinging to the last vestige of clarity within his soul, resolutely refusing to allow the system or the rhythm of the return to the void to be seized. What? This mortal dares to withstand my decree of separation? High above the firmament, the God Kings will appear momentarily taken aback, soon transforming into a deeper indifference and a flicker of anger provoked by an ant. Stubborn and unyielding, then I shall eradicate your true spirit alongside you. An even more terrifying will, as substantial as a grinding millstone, seeks to utterly crush Li Wei. Hao Tian God King, hold on. At this critical juncture, a cool and resolute moonlight divine radiance ascends, forming a barrier between Li Wei and the God King's will. The true form of Moon Yao God King has appeared before Li Wei, her moon-white attire billowing without wind, seemingly fragile under the vast divine might, yet unwavering. This child is my direct disciple and the champion of this generation's genius battle. Is it not excessively tyrannical for Hao Tian God King to attempt to publicly extinguish my Wu Nation's prodigy? Moon Yao God King's voice rings clear, laden with inquiry. Moon Yao? The will of the so-called Hao Tian God King pauses slightly, its tone remaining cold. This child possesses the forbidden power of the return to the void, a source of chaos that must be eliminated. You dare to shield him, positioning yourself against me? The power of the return to the void? An uproar ensues in the spectator seats, many ancient beings revealing expressions of astonishment, clearly aware of the terrifying legends surrounding this power. How this power came to be remains uncertain, but Li Wei's tenacious spirit has rendered great service to our sect, and he has rightfully claimed the title of champion through his own strength. How could he be easily slain for an unfounded power? Moon Yao God King argues vehemently. Should the God King insist on taking action, my Chi-Yu sect, along with many from our Wu Nation, will surely be hard to persuade. Her words subtly entwine Li Wei's honor with that of the entire younger generation of Wu Nation, as well as the dignity of the Wu Nation's cultivation realm. A mere remnant of the return to the void dares to represent the genius of Wu Nation? The Hao Tian God King scoffs, yet evidently harbors some reservations. After all, Moon Yao is also a God King, though not as ancient and formidable as he. However, should a confrontation arise, the cost would be considerable. His icy gaze sweeps across the gathering, ultimately locking onto Li Wei. Boy, surrender the forbidden power and cripple your own cultivation. I may spare your true spirit from annihilation. This is already an act of mercy. Yet to Li Wei, this is no different from a death sentence. He takes a deep breath, braving the overwhelming pressure, slowly raising his head, his gaze fixed upon the highest point of the boundless firmament, his voice hoarse from the strain. Yet imbued with undeniable resolve, my path is mine to tread. My power stems from my own struggle and fortune. Why should I yield it to you? Seeking death. The Hao Tian God King has entirely lost his patience. The grinding will descends once more, and the moonlight barrier set by Moon Yao God King instantly fractures. As it becomes clear that even Moon Yao God King cannot fully protect Li Wei, the situation hangs precariously in the balance. As Li Wei prepared to risk everything, drawing upon the profound resonance of the Guishu stone tablet and the unknown potential of his system for a desperate struggle, an unexpected transformation unfolded. Deep within his soul, the dark red copper piece he had acquired from the 10,000 Treasures Pavilion, which had always resonated faintly with the system's luminous orb, suddenly erupted with a faint yet remarkably ancient wave under the immense pressure of the Divine King's will. This wave was not an attack, but rather an ignition, a coordinate. A hum resonated as Li Wei felt his consciousness forcibly extracted, instantaneously traversing boundless time and space, once again witnessing the chaotic nebula within the depths of the ancient battlefield, and the dormant chaotic light sphere. This time, however, the chaotic light sphere was no longer tranquil. It seemed to be stirred by the wave of the copper piece and the intensely awakened resonance of the Guishu Dao and the essence of the system emanating from Li Wei, suddenly radiating an unprecedented chaotic brilliance. This brilliance pierced through the infinite void, disregarding the barriers of time and space, illuminating the skies above Haoyang City in an instant. Although only Li Wei and the Haoyan Divine King could perceive this spectacle clearly, the essence contained within that radiance, far surpassing the ordinary aura of a Divine King, caused the Haoyan Divine King's will to falter momentarily, even instilling a hint of uncertainty. Was that the essence of the origin? How could it still exist in this world? For the first time, the Haoyan Divine King's voice lost its absolute indifference, tinged with incredulous tremors. In that fleeting moment when his mind was captivated by the chaotic light sphere, Li Wei, filled with a sense of fortune, disregarded the excruciating pain in his soul and exerted every ounce of power from the system, including the essence of the chaotic light sphere that had been stirred, infusing it entirely into the dark red copper piece as a guise. The system began to operate at an unprecedented frequency, utilizing the copper piece as a conduit. It calculated all possible escape routes. Command confirmed. Hyperfrequency operation initiated. Detecting incomplete coordinates within the copper piece, integrating host's void evasion, insights of traversing the void, and the dissipating resonance of the chaotic light sphere to derive the optimal escape plan. Derivation complete. Plan, forcefully activate the incomplete coordinates within the copper piece. Invoking the multiverse's gap currents for non-directional, ultra-long distance random teleportation. Risk extremely high. Destination unknown. May end up in a perilous realm or temporal turbulence. Execute. Li Wei did not hesitate. Remaining in place was tantamount to certain death. Random teleportation offered a glimmer of hope. A hum echoed as the dark red copper piece in his hand suddenly radiated a blinding light. The worn patterns on its surface seemed to come alive. Drawing upon the enigmatic energy that existed within the gaps of the myriad realms, the multiverse's gap currents. A distorted vortex of space formed instantaneously before Li Wei, centered around the copper piece. Beyond the vortex lay a realm of bizarre and perilous unknown dimensions. Attempting to escape, the Haotian Divine King, regaining his wits, was consumed by fury. A colossal hand, forged from pure laws, pierced through the void, aiming to seize Li Wei and the spatial vortex with ruthless intent. Determined to crush both the space and the individual. Moonlight of the nine heavens. At the same time, the Moon Yao Divine King made her move, conjuring 9 radiant lunar phantoms that coalesced into an intricate formation, attempting to obstruct that colossal hand of law, buying Li Wei a fleeting moment. Boom! The collision of Divine Kings erupted in the chaotic arena, unleashing a terrifying energy storm that illuminated the entire defensive array of Haoyang City to its zenith. Amidst the tumultuous energy tempest and spatial turbulence, Li Wei cast a final glance at the Moon Yao Divine King, who was buying him time, followed by a cold, piercing look at the Haotian Divine King above, imprinting his visage and aura deeply into his memory. The debt of gratitude from this day, Li Wei shall forever cherish in his heart. No sooner had the thought crossed his mind than he pivoted sharply, plunging resolutely into the twisted vortex of space. The colossal hand of the law descended, yet it merely crushed the remnants of spatial fragments left in the wake of the vortex's collapse. Li Wei's figure, along with the dark crimson copper piece, had entirely vanished, his presence abruptly erased from the perception of all, as if he had never existed. The will of the Haotian Divine King lingered in the sky for a moment, suffused with boundless fury and a hint of unfulfilled desire, before gradually receding. The heavens regained their light, yet the entire imperial city was ensnared in an eerie silence. Everyone was left stupefied by the sudden upheaval that had transpired in the blink of an eye. The prodigious champion, endowed with forbidden powers, had summoned a divine king to descend, only to forcibly escape through the rift of void under the intervention of another divine king, now lost to the world. This news would undoubtedly sweep across the kingdom of Wu with the ferocity of a tempest, extending to even broader realms. The Moon Yao Divine King stood in the void, gazing at the spot where Li Wei had vanished, her expression a complex tapestry of concern and care, ultimately culminating in a barely audible sigh. As long as he lives, that is enough. In the chaotic arena, only shattered barriers remained, alongside the incredulous third Prince Wu Zhan and others, still reeling from the astonishing events. At that moment, Li Wei found himself amidst the bizarre and destructive energy of the myriad spatial rifts, with the system engaging its protective measures to withstand the terrifying forces of distortion surrounding him. His body rolled uncontrollably within the passage, his consciousness gradually fading due to excessive exhaustion and injuries. Yet, deep within his soul, the fleeting connection with the chaotic light sphere and the system's notifications of hard-won progress in authority amidst the brink of life and death remained strikingly clear. System Authority Unlock Progress 062, 065, 070. Host detected entering high-dimensional spatial flow, beginning data recording of the myriad spatial rifts, analyzing spatial markers. The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, fraught with peril. However, Li Wei understood that his stage in the Imperial City had come to a close. A new, broader, and more treacherous journey, accompanied by the animosity of the Divine King and the secrets of the chaotic light sphere, had been thrust upon him. His legend had not concluded. Rather, it had turned the page to a more grandiose chapter. Chapter 141. The ruins of the star domain forge the true self. The boundless devouring establishes the foundation of the path. The tumult and ferocity of the myriad spatial rifts could instantaneously obliterate even the most sacred existence. Yet for Li Wei, who possessed an infinite absorption system, this lethal energy turbulence was merely a more vigorous source of cultivation resources, absorbing high-dimensional spatial tearing damage, enhancing divine body strength, converting to realm value 0. 1. Amidst the absorption of chaotic energy and the erosion of his being, the heart of chaos adapted, transforming into a realm value of 0. 08. As he absorbed the powers of time and space distortion, his comprehension of temporal laws deepened, converting into a realm value of 0. 05. The system's notifications flickered through his nearly obscured consciousness, while his body floated precariously through an otherworldly passage, enduring damage capable of annihilating star domains. Yet, each moment, The system flawlessly absorbed these injuries, transmuting them into the purest source of power, nurturing his very essence. Time seemed to stretch, an ephemeral instant that felt like eons. A glimmer of light emerged ahead, rapidly expanding. With a sudden force, Li Wei felt himself hurled through the void, crashing heavily onto the hard, frigid ground. The excruciating pain that enveloped him elicited a muffled groan, yet the system continued its stable operation, instantaneously absorbing and transforming the impact's damage. Struggling to open his eyes, he beheld an astonishingly desolate and silent starry expanse. He found himself atop a vast, fragmented continent adrift in the void. The surface of the land was a dark brown, riddled with immense chasms and impact craters, devoid of any trace of vegetation or flowing water. Only jagged rocks and cold dust remained. Gazing upward, the sky was a profound black, adorned with sparse yet extraordinarily large stars, emanating a cold and lifeless glow. In the distance, one could observe countless shattered stars, broken mountain ranges, and the skeletal remains of immense, unidentified creatures, silently suspended in the void, painting a vast and dilapidated cosmic graveyard. The spiritual energy in this realm was exceedingly thin, intermingled with a disquieting aura of decay and death. Li Wei propped himself up, cautiously scanning his surroundings with his consciousness. While commanding the system to initiate a comprehensive environment scan, analyze the energy composition, and ascertain his current location. Command confirmed. Scanning environment. Warning, high-intensity remnants of the Tao of Ruins detected. Assimilation efficiency of the environment elevated to 800. Unknown inertial energy present in the surroundings, currently being analyzed. Location analysis. Based on star map comparisons and residual spatial coordinates, your current position is on the periphery of the origin continent, within an unknown shattered star domain, tentatively designated as the ruins of Shuhai. This area appears to be an ancient battlefield or the remnants of cosmic destruction, characterized by incomplete laws and inertial energy, rendering cultivation exceedingly difficult. The periphery of the origin continent, the ruins of Shuhai? Li Wei frowned slightly, astonished that the random teleportation from the copper tablet had transported him to such a remote and desolate location. Moreover, the pervasive essence of the Tao of Ruins, though sparse, was omnipresent, clearly indicating a connection to the ruins. He assessed his condition. The injuries to his soul had largely healed thanks to the system's continuous absorption of the damage from the interdimensional currents. His divine power was significantly depleted, yet the heart of chaos remained stable. The most pressing concern was the inertial energy of this star domain, making it nearly impossible to absorb external energy for replenishment. While the reserve source crystals he had previously stored had been completely consumed during his escape and the tumultuous currents. If any other practitioner were to find themselves in this place, it would be tantamount to the severance of their path, leaving them to languish in despair. Yet, Li Wei was different. As he inhaled the pervasive atmosphere of decay and desolation, a subtle smile graced his lips. Energy inertia? Residual essence of the void. What is a dead end for others is, for me, a sanctuary exquisitely tailored for cultivation. System, activate full environmental assimilation and absorption. Objective, to counteract all environmental damage and inertial energy in the ruinous star domain, prioritizing the replenishment of divine power to fortify both the divine body and the cosmic heart. Command confirmed. Environmental assimilation and absorption operating at hyperfrequency, absorbing the essence of decay, the force of annihilation, and the radiation of inert stars. Conversion efficiency maximized. Host's divine power is rapidly recovering, the divine body is continuously reinforced, and the chaotic cosmic heart is slowly expanding. In an instant, an invisible vortex seemed to form around Li Wei, drawing in the very essence of decay and desolation that ordinary practitioners would shun. The otherwise unusable inertial energy surged into his being like rivers converging into the sea. The moment this energy entered his body, its harmful, decayed, and inert characteristics were forcefully stripped away by the system's absolute rules, transmuting into the purest, most primordial chaotic energy, nourishing every fiber of his flesh and every strand of his soul. His divine power restored at a visibly rapid pace. The once parched meridians and cosmic heart became replete and surging once more. Moreover, within this environment saturated with the aura of destruction, his divine body underwent repeated tempering, growing more resilient, subtly imbued with an indestructible quality. The chaotic cosmic heart, in the process of absorbing this extraordinary energy, exhibited an enhanced capacity for embracing termination and annihilation, with the internal void realm spontaneously simulating a similar environment of extinction, rendering it more authentic and stable. He rose to his feet, strolling across the desolate, shattered land. Beneath his feet lay hard, metallic or radiating a faint glow. System absorption initiated. The sky rained down cold, corrosive starry glimmers. System absorption initiated. An invisible wind of annihilation, capable of severing the soul, permeated the void. System absorption initiated. He even discovered an unfathomable chasm and leaped into it, enduring the terrifying gravity capable of crushing stars and the even denser essence of decay at the bottom. The system continued to absorb steadily. Here, he needed no search for spiritual veins, nor any elixirs. This entire star domain served as an immense energy reservoir, ceaselessly providing him with power. Furthermore, the energy here was of exceptionally high caliber, imbued with the mysteries of the void, benefiting him far beyond ordinary cultivation. Host's divine power has been fully restored. Divine body strength increased by 150. Chaotic cosmic heart expanded to 8 million miles. Structural stability significantly enhanced. Resolution of annihilation essence elevated to 15. System authority unlock progress, 070, 071. In just a few days, not only had his condition fully recovered, but he had also made remarkable strides in his cultivation, achieving a distinct enhancement in strength compared to his time in the imperial capital, Heavenly King Haoyan. You may find it hard to anticipate that the seemingly fatal situation in your eyes has instead become an opportunity for my rise, Li Wei. With piercing gaze, Li Wei looked into the void, as if he could penetrate endless distances to catch a glimpse of the figure within Haoyang City. He discovered a relatively stable giant skull amidst this shattered land, where he established a temporary abode. He did not rush to depart. This place was an exceptional sanctuary for his cultivation, and he intended to make the most of it. Each day, aside from maintaining the system's absorption, he devoted himself to the study of a dark red copper plate. With the assistance of the system's higher authority and his sensitivity to the surrounding rhythms of the ruins, he finally made some progress in deciphering the incomplete coordinates within the copper plate. Analysis completion. 1. The coordinates point to an unstable area on the outskirts of the ruins, characterized by numerous spatial rifts and chaotic laws. Danger level, extremely high. It is advised that the host attain the Saint Realm before attempting further. The Saint Realm? You say? Li Wei tightened his grip on the copper plate. It seemed that his primary objective was to break through to the Saint Realm, Chaos Sovereign, within this ruinous star domain. Exiting his abode, he gazed into the depths of the star field, where even larger, more desolate stars and colossal skulls loomed. The damage here was insufficient. His cultivation efficiency could be even greater. His eyes fixed upon a nearby Death Star, entirely enveloped in darkness, relentlessly spewing forth extinguishing starfire. In the next moment, his figure transformed into a streak of light, plunging directly into the annihilating starfire, which would cause even those at the saint level to retreat in trepidation. Boom. An even more violent destructive energy engulfed him. The system's conversion efficiency skyrocketed in an instant. Li Wei sat cross-legged at the core of the extinguishing starfire, a smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Come on, let this damage be even more ferocious. In this graveyard of the ruins, I shall forge my path to the pinnacle through boundless devouring. His cultivation accelerated almost frantically in this forgotten star domain, as the flames of vengeance and his yearning for supreme power blazed fiercely within his heart. Chapter 142. The Mastery of Extinguishing Starfire. The ruined spirit bows to open a new chapter. Li Wei sat at the heart of that Death Star, surrounded by the inky darkness of extinguishing starfire capable of incinerating all. This starfire was no ordinary flame. It was a fusion of the ruins' rhythms and the remnants of ultimate destructive energy following the star's demise, its power far surpassing ordinary chaotic currents, capable of severely injuring or even annihilating those who had just entered the Saint Realm. However, for Li Wei, it was the perfect sacred fire for cultivation. Absorbing high-intensity extinguishing starfire damage, divine body strength 0. 5. Stability of the Chaos Realm core 0. 3. Analysis of extinguishing rhythm 0. 0. 1. Converted into realm value 12. The system's prompts flashed with unprecedented frequency. Every second, the damage he endured equated to a full force strike from a being at the saint level, and every second, this damage was perfectly absorbed, transforming into immense power propelling his ascension. His divine body was incessantly destroyed and repaired amidst the starlit embers, akin to divine iron being repeatedly forged, with impurities stripped away, leaving behind a resplendent and crystalline shell imbued with formidable power and the essence of immortality. Natural, dark golden patterns began to emerge upon his bones, faintly resonating with the rhythmic essence of the Tao of the return to the void. The heart of the chaotic realm spun and expanded with unprecedented velocity. The boundless domain within evolved under the support of such violent energy and the cleansing essence of annihilation. Its extent not rapidly widening, yet its structure grew increasingly intricate and fortified. The edges of the realm became indistinct, as if striving to merge with the external desolate star domain, and within, threads of annihilating starlight and decaying currents spontaneously emerged. Though faint, it signified a qualitative leap. This indicated that his heart of the realm had begun its metamorphosis from imitation to creation and inclusion, marking a pivotal signpost on the path to becoming the sovereign of chaos. Time appeared to lose its significance within this desolate star domain. A year, a decade, a century. Li Wei sat like a statue, motionless amidst the annihilating starlight, yet his breath simmered like a dormant volcano, harboring cataclysmic power beneath a tranquil facade. The accumulation of his realm had long reached the zenith of the late eternal true God, even spilling over, yet the barrier leading to the dominion of chaos remained exceptionally resilient. This was not due to an insufficiency of energy accumulation, but rather a necessity for a more profound understanding and mastery of his own path and the chaotic principles. Chaos is not mere disorder. but rather the coexistence of order and chaos, the cycle of life and death, the source from which all laws converge, and the manifestation of myriad realms. In the extremity of his cultivation, Li Wei's consciousness became vacuous, utilizing the vast data of annihilating starlight recorded and analyzed by the system, along with environmental insights from the desolate star domain and his own comprehension of the principles of time and space, the five elements, yin and yang, and annihilation. He continuously deduced and validated the essence of chaos. My path is mastery. Mastery over the entire process from source to desolation. My boundless domain shall serve as the embryonic form of a true universe, encompassing all laws and evolving the cycle of life and death. Crack. It was as if the first sound of the universe's inception reverberated deep within his soul. In that moment of enlightenment, the resilient barrier shattered with a resounding crash. Rumble. Centered on Li Wei, the entire Death Star trembled violently, its surface ablaze with immeasurable eons of annihilating starlight, surging toward him as if finding its true home. Not only this star, but across the vast emptiness of billions of miles, all floating fragments of land, remnants of stars, and even the colossal bones of ancient creatures, all imbued with the essence of annihilation, decay, and destruction, were irresistibly drawn, transforming into streams of gray energy that traversed the void and merged into Li Wei's being. His aura began to ascend at a terrifying pace, undergoing a profound transformation. The shackles of the eternal true God were utterly shattered, and the essence of life commenced a fundamental leap. The nature of divine power shifted, infused with a hint of chaotic origin, growing heavier, more inclusive, and imbued with the authority to create and define. The soul has thoroughly merged with the heart of chaos, where the heart embodies the universe, and the universe is the heart itself. The realm of the void resonates resoundingly within him, though its expanse does not dramatically expand. The internal laws have instantly multiplied several times over, stabilizing time and space, orchestrating the five elements, and differentiating yin and yang. A fragment of true world essence is birthed within. More significantly, at the core of this realm, a minuscule yet ever-changing chaotic vortex silently forms, manifesting his own path and signifying the dominion of chaos, the heart of chaos. Simultaneously, his comprehension of the rhythm of annihilation surges dramatically under the impetus of his life's transcendence. Annihilation Rhythm Comprehension. 15, 20, 30, 50. System Authority Unlocking Progress. 071, 075, 080. Time becomes nebulous as all anomalies gradually subside. Li Wei remains in a meditative posture, yet the aura radiating from him has transformed entirely. It is profound and vast, akin to an infinite chaotic starry sky, where a single thought can create worlds or lead all to desolation. The dominion of chaos, referred to as the sacred existence. He has succeeded. Furthermore, through his accumulation and breakthroughs in the extreme environment of the ruins of the void, upon entering this realm, he has firmly stabilized his level, his power far exceeding that of an ordinary early-stage dominator of chaos. He slowly opens his eyes, and within them flickers a glimpse of chaos unfolding and the cosmic cycle of creation and destruction. He gently clenches his fist, feeling the new power coursing within him, turbulent as a sea of stars, embodying the authority of creation and annihilation. Is this the power of the dominator of chaos? Li Wei muses, a cold smile curving at the corners of his mouth. Heavenly King, even if I may not yet be your equal, I am no longer a mere ant at your mercy. With a thought, the residual sparks of annihilation swirl around his fingertips like obedient pets before dissipating. He rises, his gaze sweeping across the desolate star field. To him, the threats here have significantly diminished, yet the mysteries of the ruins still beckon for deeper exploration. With a single step, he finds himself amidst the void, his speed increased by more than tenfold. There is no need to deliberately employ escape techniques. The dominator of chaos instinctively commands time and space. He ventures deeper into the ruins of the void, toward areas where the essence of the ruins is even more concentrated. Having broken through to the dominion of chaos, his system authority has once again elevated, enhancing his ability to decipher the dark red copper plate. He seeks more clues to ascertain the path leading to the outskirts of the ruins. As he flies, his formidable consciousness sweeps over a colossal unknown creature's skull, reminiscent of a mountain range. Suddenly, his gaze sharpens. Deep within the eye socket of that skull, he senses an exceedingly faint, yet sentient energy source. It is not lifeless. In this desolate place, there exists a living being? Curiosity peaks within Li Wei as he conceals his presence and approaches stealthily. Upon descending atop the gigantic skull and gazing into the profound eye socket, he is momentarily taken aback by what he sees. At the bottom of the socket lies a minuscule nest, composed of countless fragments of bone and dust, coalescing into existence. Within the confines of the nest, there lie several peculiar creatures, approximately the size of a fist, their bodies a translucent grayish-white, resembling jellyfish, yet exuding a dense aura of death and desolation. They appear devoid of a fixed form, their bodies constantly oscillating between solidity and ethereality, with a flickering dark glow at their core that emanates a pure essence of annihilation, resonating with the surrounding environment. Sensing the arrival of Li Wei, these diminutive beings instinctively coiled into a tight cluster, their core's dark luminescence flickering erratically, exuding a faint aura of hostility and fear. The system swiftly provided an analysis. Unknown life forms detected, their energy composition highly aligned with the essence of desolation. Suspected to be indigenous spirits nurtured within the ruins of the abyss. Life level, ranging from void true god to eternal true god. Possessing certain ethereal characteristics and energy absorption traits. Li Wei was astounded by the revelation that beings could thrive in such a harsh environment. He attempted to release a trace of his own chaotic dominion, infused with the essence of desolation. Upon sensing this vastly purer and more expansive aura, akin yet superior to their own, the creatures trembled in heightened fear. However, soon their core's dark glow began to stabilize, even emanating a hint of admiration and longing. Cautiously, they floated around Li Wei, emitting faint sounds reminiscent of wind weaving through skeletal crevices, conveying emotions of closeness and dependence. Feeling an instinctive connection, Li Wei extended a finger, where a trace of pure, controlled annihilation starfire swirled. One bolder creature slowly approached, extending an ethereal antenna to gently touch the starfire. In an instant, its grayish-white body illuminated with a dark golden sheen, its presence visibly strengthening. It emitted a joyful whimper, prompting the other creatures to gather around, expressing their yearning. Li Wei understood. These beings thrived on the power of desolation. For them, he, as a master and creator of such forces, was akin to a walking deity or a mother nest. Inspired by this realization, he considered the potential of befriending these creatures. Not only could they serve as his eyes and ears in this realm, but through studying them, he might further unravel the mysteries of the abyss. Concentrating his divine energy, he mingled it with the essence of annihilation to coalesce several minuscule, yet extraordinarily pure, dark, golden energy crystals. With a flick of his fingers, he sent them toward the creatures. They eagerly swarmed, absorbing the energy crystals, their bodies solidifying further, and their auras breaking through barriers, to even ascending directly from the peak of the void true god to the realm of the eternal true god. Their dependence and reverence for Li Wei reached its zenith as they prostrated at his feet, signifying their submission. Since you are born of the ruins, henceforth, you shall be known as the spirits of the ruins, Li Wei declared, observing his newly acquired companions. From this day forward, follow me, and I shall bestow upon you the gifts of creation. The ruined spirits responded with submissive whimpers, their core's dark glow pulsating as they established a faint, yet distinct spiritual connection with Li Wei. Li Wei sensed the burgeoning, yet enigmatic power of this newly acquired force, his gaze once again drifting into the depths of the starry expanse. Let us embark on a journey to unveil the secrets concealed within this graveyard of the Forsaken. With his newly subdued Su Ling, they transformed into a stream of radiant light, vanishing amidst the shattered stars. Having ascended to sanctity, the Su Ling bowed in reverence. Thus, in this Forsaken star domain, Li Wei officially commenced a new chapter of his saga. The flames of vengeance and the quest for ultimate truths would accompany this unique faction towards an even grander future. Chapter 143. The projection of the ruins. The ancient remains lay in stillness, shattered spears, and lingering memories pointing the way forward. Having tamed the nascent Su Ling, Li Wei was no longer solitary in this desolate cosmos. Although these little beings possessed limited intellect, they exhibited an extraordinary sensitivity to the power of the ruins and the stellar environment, becoming his finest guides in the exploration of the skeletal star domain. He led this band of Su Ling deeper into the cosmos, toward the core area where the essence of the ruins resonated most profoundly, an area untouched by the turbulence of his prior breakthroughs. What lay along the journey was increasingly harrowing. The fragmented stars were no longer mere rocks and metals. They bore the marks of some unspeakable force that had forcibly reshaped them, some elongated into twisted ribbons, others perforated with massive holes, the edges of which gleamed like mirrors, exuding a chilling aura of razor-sharp laws. The colossal floating remains of ancient beings had grown even more immense, with some still emanating a faint yet formidable pressure, a testament to their terrifying power in life. This place resembled a battlefield utterly shattered, devoid of all vitality. A chill gripped Li Wei's heart. What kind of being could engage in combat to rend such a vast star domain asunder? A deity? Or perhaps something higher? As he ventured deeper, the environment grew increasingly hostile. Invisible storms of fragmented laws began to swirl in the void, chaotic currents birthed from shattered celestial principles, capable of easily tearing apart ordinary chaos sovereigns. In certain areas, the flow of time became utterly disordered. A single step could lead to a millennium passing outside, or one could find themselves ensnared in a time loop, forever lost. Yet, to Li Wei, these challenges were merely exquisite nourishment. Absorbing damage from the shattered law storm, stability of the chaos heart increased by 0.1, overall law resistance enhanced, converted to realm value 0.5. Absorbing the erosion of temporal chaos, comprehension of temporal laws deepened. The void shadow merging with the changing nature of time, converted to realm value 0.3. He moved like an unceasing furnace, traversing the brink of annihilation, transforming every peril into a stepping stone for his growth. The Su Ling following him also thrived under the occasional emanation of his pure, obliterating energy, rapidly maturing. Their forms slightly enlarging, transparency diminishing, the core's dark radiance intensifying, and their spiritual essence strengthening, even enabling simple mental exchanges. On this day, Li Wei perceived an immensely powerful, refined, and even slightly vital resonance of the ruins emanating ahead. Its intensity surpassed any remnants of the extinguished starfire or fragments of laws he had previously absorbed. He signaled the ethereal beings to remain vigilant while he stealthily approached using the Void Shadow technique. As he traversed a belt of asteroids formed by densely packed shattered stars, the sight before him made his pupils contract slightly. In the void ahead, a colossal skeleton of unimaginable proportions hovered. This skeleton gleamed with a dark golden hue, resembling neither a dragon nor a beast, adorned with countless massive bone spines that stretched endlessly. Just a single phalanx was larger than the Death Star Li Wei had previously meditated upon. The skeleton was marred with innumerable grotesque scars and fissures, the most lethal of which was a gaping wound in its skull, nearly cleaving the cranium in twain. The powerful resonance of the void emanated from this ancient beast's skeletal injury. Moreover, protruding from the fissure of the skull was a rusted, broken spear tip. Though only about 10 feet long, it seemed trivial compared to the gigantic skeleton, yet it exuded a sharpness and aura of destruction that made even Li Wei's heart race. It was this that dealt the fatal blow to the beast. In its prime, this creature was undoubtedly a terrifying entity rivaling a divine monarch. And the wielder of that broken spear tip, what manner of being could they be? Just as Li Wei observed, an unexpected change occurred. From the hollow eye sockets of the dark golden skeleton, 2 orbs of ethereal blue soul fire suddenly ignited. A brutal, lifeless will filled with a desire for annihilation surged forth, akin to a ferocious beast awakening, instantly locking onto Li Wei, the intruder. A roar erupted, not a sound in the traditional sense, but a resonance that directly impacted the soul. Carrying the boundless resentment of this beast in life and the power of the void in death, it transformed into an invisible wave of destruction, sweeping towards Li Wei. Where it passed, even the shattered remnants of stars were instantaneously reduced to dust. This ancient skeleton retained a vestige of indomitable fighting spirit and a murderous obsession. Faced with a soul shock far exceeding that of a typical chaos sovereign, Li Wei's gaze sharpened, and he dared not be negligent. He did not choose to confront it head-on, nor did he immediately employ his system to absorb it. The will contained within this impact was too chaotic and violent, and direct absorption could adversely affect his own psyche. His mind raced with clarity, and an inspiration struck him as he gestured with his hands before him. The resonance of desolation, reaching a resolution of 5 within him, was fully invoked, intermingling with his chaos sovereign-level divine power and his unique comprehension of the void. Rapidly delineating and coalescing before him, a slender stream of dark golden light, merely a foot long, formed at his fingertips. This luminescence transcended mere finger rays, resembling a miniature, ever-dying embodiment of the void itself. It radiated an absolute aura capable of bringing all things to an end and silencing the laws of existence. The level of resonance it contained subtly surpassed that of the shockwave emitted by the ancient skeleton's remnants. This was Li Wei's transcendental application of the void's ultimate finger after breaking through to the chaos sovereign level, the projection of the void. Go. He flicked his finger, and that delicate projection of the void shot forth like an arrow released from a bow, meeting the invisible soul shockwave. There was no cataclysmic collision. As the projection of the abyssal ruins traversed its path, the tumultuous shockwave of souls met with the reverence of a king's subjects. Akin to snow yielding beneath the fierce sun, swiftly quelling and disintegrating, ultimately consumed by the projection, returning to tranquility. The projection, relentless in its momentum, plunged directly into the gaping maw of the ancient, dark golden skeleton, striking true at the blazing azure flames of the soul. A mournful cry, filled with fear and disbelief, emanated from the remnants of the ancient remains. The 2 orbs of soul fire flickered violently, their radiance rapidly dimming, until with a soft puff, they were extinguished completely. The immense skeleton trembled slightly, the last vestige of vitality dissipating entirely, transforming into a mere lifeless relic. The condensed essence of the abyssal ruins seemed to lose its core, becoming tranquil as it gradually spread outward. Li Wei exhaled softly, beads of sweat forming on his brow. The exertion of manifesting this projection of the abyssal ruins greatly taxed his spirit, yet the results were remarkably effective. This experience afforded him a clearer understanding of the power inherent in his path. He soared forward, drawing nearer to the colossal skeleton and the fractured spear tip. Upon approaching, he felt the extraordinary nature of both the skeleton and the spear tip more acutely. The material of the skeleton was unlike anything he had ever encountered. Its hardness surpassing imagination, still imbued with remnants of formidable life force. Although lifeless, if refined, it could serve as a treasure for body cultivation. The spear tip, though corroded and uneven at the break, radiated a repressed, yet terrifying sharpness capable of piercing the cosmos. It was undoubtedly a fragment of a treasure far beyond the realm of chaotic divine weapons. He attempted to connect with the spear tip using his divine power. The moment his power made contact, a resonant hum surged forth, Fragments of a shattered vision, filled with desolation, grandeur, and indomitable will, abruptly flooded into Li Wei's consciousness. He beheld endless darkness consuming the starry sky, witnessed countless powerful beings wailing in the shadows, obliterated. He glimpsed the master of the awe-inspiring war spear, a figure hazy yet majestic enough to part the sea of stars, wielding the spear and soaring against the encroaching darkness, battling against nameless terrors. He observed the spear shatter, that majestic being spilling blood across the heavens, ultimately perishing alongside the dark golden beast, rendering this starfield a graveyard of the abyssal ruins. The vision abruptly ceased. Simultaneously, a faint yet resolute remnant of information accompanied the images, penetrating Li Wei's heart. Guard, protect, Ember, seek, the other shore. Ember, the other shore? Li Wei's spirit jolted. This message resonated eerily with the earlier information transmitted by the chaotic light sphere regarding the search for seeds. Did the master of this spear tip and the dark golden beast partake in that unknown cataclysm? What were they safeguarding? What were they resisting? And where did the other shore lead? Just as he was immersed in this profound revelation, the luminous orb within the depths of his soul resonated intensely with the dark red copper plate. Especially that copper plate, its worn patterns glimmering faintly, pointed towards a specific direction within this desolate star domain. High-dimensional information remnants detected, with a 15 similarity to the records of the chaotic light sphere, linked with the coordinates of the copper plate. Analysis conclusion. The residual intent of the fractured spear tip indicates a destination, coinciding with the outer path marked on the copper plate leading to the ruins, with a 71 probability of overlap. It is advised to explore in this direction. Li Wei tightened his grip on the copper plate and cast another glance at the silent ancient remains and the broken spear tip, his gaze deepening with profound insight. It turns out that this desolate star domain, this graveyard of the ruins, is not merely a battlefield relic but also serves as a beacon guiding the path ahead. The relentless pursuit of the Celestial King, the secrets of the ruins, the origins of the system, and the cataclysm that affected countless universes, all seem to be subtly interconnected. The other shore, the ruins, Li Wei whispered these two phrases, resolutely gazing towards the direction jointly indicated by the system and the copper plate. The road ahead remained shrouded in mist and fraught with peril, yet the direction had become markedly clearer. He carefully stowed away the broken spear tip. It was not only a fragment of a formidable weapon but also an invaluable clue. Subsequently, with a more reverent heart, he departed from the skeletal remains of the ancient behemoth, leading the ruin's spirits as a streak of light, racing towards the depths of the star domain, towards the unknown junction of the other shore and the ruins. A new journey beckoned, pointing towards even older mysteries and more daunting dangers. Yet, Li Wei's resolve, forged through these trials and revelations, grew ever more unyielding. Chapter 144. The Eye of the Ruins in the Silence of the Ancient God's Shell. The source of the Tao is contained. Following the residual thoughts of the fractured spear tip and the dark red copper plate, Li Wei led the ruined spirits, traversing the desolate star domain for countless ages. The further they advanced, the more bizarre the surroundings became. The shattered stars no longer floated, but were instead pulled and twisted by an unseen force, ultimately converging into a series of slowly rotating gray rivers composed of pure annihilative energy and broken laws, flowing towards the depths of the star domain. Where these rivers of annihilation passed, even the void itself mourned, collapsing into absolute zones of emptiness. Had it not been for Li Wei's ascension to the status of Chaos Sovereign, greatly enhancing his control over time, space, and annihilation, combined with the protection of the system, he might have already been assimilated and devoured by these rivers. Finally, after crossing the last and most expansive, turbulent river of annihilation, the sight that unfolded before Li Wei left him momentarily breathless. Ahead lay no longer a mere fragmented starry sky. All the rivers of annihilation converged here, forming an immense, indescribable, slowly rotating vortex of chaos. At the center of the vortex was an abyss of utter darkness. It was not devoid of light, but rather the very concept of existence seemed to have been consumed, an absolute void of return. That was the Eye of the Ruins, the ultimate resting place of all annihilation and conclusion within the desolate star domain. Merely gazing upon the Eye of the Ruins made Li Wei feel his chaotic heart tremble slightly, as the cycle of life and death within the realm of the void was subjected to an invisible suppression and pull. The ethereal resonance of the ruins emanated a purity and grandeur unparalleled by any place he had encountered before. At the very edge of the colossal vortex, there floated a massive, indescribable shell. It was neither a star nor the bones of a colossal beast he had previously seen, but rather an ancient deity's shell, vaguely humanoid, yet profoundly damaged. The enormity of this shell was beyond comprehension. A single strand of its hair resembled a cascade of stars, and a mere nail could rival an entire realm. The shell exhibited a somber, ancient bronze hue, marred by countless horrific scars, imprints of fists, puncture marks, gashes, and remnants of law-eroding inscriptions. Most astonishingly, there was a vast, transparent cavity in its chest, as if some unfathomable force had hollowed out its core, with smooth edges that retained the disquieting resonance of annihilation, causing even Li Wei's soul to ache. This ancient deity's shell floated serenely at the periphery of the Eye of Ruins, enduring the relentless onslaught of eons worth of obliterating energy, yet it had not completely disintegrated. It exuded an aura of primordial desolation, a residual majesty once wielded by a being of supreme authority. Could this be the remnant of a fallen ancient god king? Or perhaps something even greater? A tempest of astonishment surged within Li Wei. The oppressive presence of this shell surpassed that of the heavenly god king. Even after countless ages of death, the lingering essence still rendered him the master of chaos, acutely aware of his own insignificance. At that moment, the dark red copper piece became searing hot, directing itself toward the ancient deity's shell, particularly the enormous transparent cavity in its chest. The fractured spear tip trembled slightly, conveying a sense of sorrow and reverence. System, scan the ancient deity's shell and the environment at the edge of the Eye of Ruins. Li Wei commanded, suppressing the shock within. Command confirmed. Scanning in progress. Warning. Detected an ultra-high concentration of Ruins primordial resonance. Environmental assimilation efficiency elevated to 1500. External energy impact level exceeds current system display limits. Extreme danger. Analysis of ancient deity's shell. Life level immeasurable, beyond current database limits. Shell material contains unknown high-dimensional rules. Residual will completely extinguished. The cavity in the chest bears traces of the collision between origin and termination, suspected source of fatal injury. Recommendation, maintain distance. Even the system issued stark warnings of extreme danger and advised retreat. Yet, Li Wei's gaze grew ever more fervent. Danger often coexists with opportunity. This ancient deity's shell and the Eye of Ruins represented an unprecedented challenge and an unimaginable boon for him. He did not flinch, but instead took deliberate steps toward the ancient deity's shell. The closer he approached, the more terrifying the impact of the Ruins' primordial resonance became. As if countless universes were simultaneously spiraling toward their end around him, the essence of all things returning to silence violently assailing his Tao heart and chaotic spirit. Absorbing the impact of the Ruins' primordial resonance, the evolution of the chaotic heart accelerates. Annihilation Resonance Resolution 0101, converting to realm value 2. The system's notifications melded together in a continuous stream. The quality of the damage here was extraordinarily high. Each second of absorption and conversion equated to years of arduous cultivation in the outside world. Under the tremendous pressure, his chaotic heart, akin to a forged divine weapon, became increasingly refined. The inner realm of the void began to imbibe a trace of the essence of the primordial return, and the membrane of the realm grew more resilient. Within, it even began to simulate subtle, vortex-like whirlpools reminiscent of the Eye of the primordial return. He laboriously made his way to the feet of the ancient god's shell. Gazing up at this colossal being, reminiscent of an eternal mountain range, he attempted to probe the interior of the shell with his divine consciousness, but was thwarted by a residual, chaotic, yet formidable barrier of laws. Unable to penetrate, Li Wei furrowed his brow. The interior of this ancient god's shell undoubtedly harbored greater secrets, perhaps related to the core of the system or the chaotic sphere of light. He circled around the shell, ultimately arriving at the enormous gaping hole in its chest. The abyss within was shrouded in darkness, too profound for even his divine consciousness to delve deeply. Yet he could sense the overwhelming presence of purer and more violent primordial essence, along with faint, primordial fluctuations that resonated with the chaotic sphere of light. This is the place. Li Wei's eyes sparkled with realization. The final destination indicated by the copper plate and spear tip lay deep within this chasm. Taking a deep breath, he hesitated no longer, channeling all his divine energy to protect himself, and stepped into the vast cavity. Upon entry, it felt as though he had crossed into another dimension. Surrounding him was an infinite expanse of darkness and silence, with only the most refined essence of the primordial return surging forth like a tide, frantically eroding him. Simultaneously, the faint primordial fluctuations became clearer, as if beckoning him from the depths of the darkness. Bearing the immense pressure, Li Wei pressed onward, guided by the primordial fluctuations through the void. The system operated beyond its limits, continuously absorbing and transforming the encroaching essence of the primordial return, sustaining his consumption and elevation. Dimensional Resonance Analysis, 50, 55, 60. System Permission Unlocking Progress, 080, 082, 085. Uncertain of how long he had journeyed, a glimmer of light finally appeared ahead. This radiance was gentle and pure, imbued with the vitality of creation and the evolution of the cosmos, starkly contrasting with the surrounding desolation, yet miraculously coexisting. Li Wei quickened his pace, racing towards the source of the light. In the very depths of the cavity, where the heart was meant to be, hovered a crystal fragment, approximately the size of a house, constantly shifting in form and emanating a soft, chaotic glow. The essence of this crystal fragment resonated with the luminous sphere within his soul and the chaotic sphere from the ancient battlefield, though it was more fragile and incomplete. Surrounding the crystal fragment were countless strands resembling black chains of primordial essence, attempting to erode and extinguish it. Yet, it seemed to be thwarted by a resilient vitality emanating from the crystal fragment itself, creating an eerie equilibrium. Detected high concentration of system-related material, severely incomplete. Energy level, extremely high. Law composition, unknown. Similarity to host system core, 8. Warning. This material is under continuous erosion by primordial essence, rendering it extremely unstable. System-related material. Similarity of 8. A tumultuous wave surged through Li Wei's heart. Within the ancient god's shell lies a fragment of the system's essence, sealed or perhaps safeguarded. Could this ancient deity be connected to the creator of the system? Is he a guardian, or something more? He had no time to ponder. The immediate priority was to seize this fragment. He sensed its critical importance, not only to himself, but to the system as well. Extending his hand, he endeavored to touch the crystalline shard. However, as he approached, an unforeseen anomaly erupted. The primordial resonances entwined around the crystal seemed to awaken, splitting into several menacing black dragons, imbued with an annihilative will, charging fiercely towards Li Wei. Their power surpassed that of the external void, reaching a divine king's magnitude. The core of this eye of the void would not permit any living being to approach the last fragment of the source. Faced with this lethal onslaught, Li Wei's gaze turned icy. Instead of retreating, he advanced. The heart of chaos within him roared, the power of the void amplifying his being. With fingers splayed, a more refined and profound projection of the void materialized in his palm. Grant me annihilation, he bellowed, thrusting the newly comprehended projection towards the black dragons. Boom. The projection clashed violently with the black dragons, both eroding and obliterating each other. The very space within the ancient god's shell trembled violently. Seizing this opportunity, Li Wei darted like lightning, piercing through the center of the energy collision, and grasped the ever-shifting crystalline fragment. The moment he made contact, a torrent of vast and fragmented information surged into his body, accompanied by an exceptionally pure source energy. He glimpsed a clearer vision of great destruction. He beheld the ancient god, wielding a war spear, battling against endless darkness, ultimately pierced through the heart in a bid to protect this fragment, and falling here. He saw scattered information within the fragment regarding the system, seemingly a product of a grand scheme known as the Seed of Transcendence. Absorbing system source material. System core is undergoing repair. Permission unlock progress skyrocketing. 085, 090, 100. New function unlocked. Source simulation beginner. Can consume energy to simulate environments of previously encountered source or high-level laws. New module unlocked. Deep analysis. Allows for more profound dissection of high-dimensional information and rules. Annihilation resonance analysis. 60, 70, 80. The system's notifications surged like a tidal wave. Permissions finally breached the threshold of 1. His strength soared once more. As the surrounding primordial resonances lost their balance without the support of the crystalline fragment, they became increasingly ferocious, and the entire ancient god's shell began to tremble violently, the gaping hole in its chest accelerating its collapse. This was no place to linger. Li Wei made a swift decision, stowing the crystalline fragment, and transformed into a streak of light, racing back along the path he had come. Behind him, the eye of the abyss seemed utterly enraged, unleashing a more terrifying pull and a storm of annihilation. The ancient god's shell, after eons, began its ultimate disintegration and descent. Li Wei narrowly escaped the collapsing chasm, racing towards the periphery of the abyssal ruins without looking back. This time, the rewards were immense. Not only had his strength surged, but he also transcended his system's limitations. More importantly, he had discovered fragments of the system's origins and understood the plan for the Seed of Transcendence, gaining a clearer insight into his future path. The secrets of the Eye of the Abyss, the fall of the ancient god, and the Seed of Transcendence, all pointed towards that ultimate shore and the land of the abyss. His next destination was clear. Guided by the information from the copperplate and fragments, he set forth towards the true abyssal land. Chapter 145. The Return of the Primordial Source and the Bridge to the Abyss. Li Wei transformed into a streak of light, tearing through the storm of annihilation at a speed several times that of his earlier flight, desperately fleeing from the collapsing core region of the Eye of the Abyss. Behind him, the ancient god's shell completely disintegrated, consumed by a massive chaotic vortex, unleashing a torrent of chaotic energy that surged through the star domain like countless dragons of destruction, ravaging everything in their wake, even tearing apart the rivers of annihilation. This scene resembled the prelude to the apocalypse of the universe. Li Wei pushed his void escape to its limits, his figure flickering between reality and illusion, evading the most lethal energy shocks. Most of the unavoidable destructive energy was absorbed by the system, transforming into a surge of realm value and a deeper understanding of the path of the abyss. Absorbed ultra-high intensity annihilation energy from the abyss. Stability of chaos sovereign realm. 5. Resolution of annihilation Dao. 0. 5. Transformed into realm value. 8. The system's notifications remained stable. Yet Li Wei sensed that the recently achieved chaos sovereign realm was becoming remarkably harmonious and stable under the pressure of this terrifying force and the nourishment from the system. Steadily progressing towards the mid-stage of mastery, he fled for an indeterminate duration, and as the storm of destruction gradually subsided, the ominous Eye of the Abyss vanished back into the depths of the star domain, leaving only a more desolate and silent void. Li Wei then slowed his pace and descended onto a relatively stable giant meteorite. He eagerly immersed his consciousness within himself. His first focus was the shard of the system's origin crystal obtained from the ancient god's shell. At this moment, the shard floated at the center of his chaos heart, enveloped by the gentle radiance emitted by the system's light orb, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Pure and unparalleled source energy flowed from the shard, being slowly yet resolutely absorbed and integrated by the system's light orb. He could distinctly feel that the system itself was undergoing a subtle yet profound transformation. The light screen composed of countless runes became denser, and within the flowing radiance, there was now a hint of ancientness and transcendence. System permission unlocking progress. 100, 101, 102. Absorbing fragments, steadily increasing. Core function unlimited absorption rule enhancement. Resistance to damage from higher dimensional rules that surpass current understanding is increased by 50. The upper limit of absorption conversion efficiency is elevated. Origin simulation, beginner, activated. Energy can be consumed to simulate previously encountered environments of homologous or higher order laws, such as a weakened version of the Edge of the Abyssal Eye, the chaotic nebula of the ancient god battlefield, etc., for training or testing purposes. Current simulation accuracy, 30, range, a radius of 10 miles. Deep analysis module activated. Enables profound analysis of higher dimensional information, fragmented DAO traces, and unknown rules, with a 500-fold increase in analysis speed and a significant boost in success rate. The transformation brought about by the breakthrough of Level 1 permissions is indeed qualitative. The enhancement of the unlimited absorption rule instills him with greater confidence when confronting powers as formidable as the God King and beyond. The origin simulation function serves as a portable, top-tier training sanctuary. Meanwhile, the deep analysis will greatly accelerate his unraveling of the mysteries of the abyssal DAO rhythm and the system's origin. He attempted to activate the origin simulation. With a mere thought, the environment within a 10-mile radius transformed instantaneously. Though it lacked the true terror of the abyssal eye's edge, the pure essence of the extinguished DAO rhythm and the oppressive sensation of space significantly benefited his current training. He could even evoke a hint of the chaotic nebula from the ancient god battlefield to refine his mastery of temporal and spatial laws. Excellent. With this capability, no matter where I am, I can always locate the most suitable training environment. Li Wei rejoiced inwardly. Subsequently, he retrieved the dark red copper plate and the broken spear tip. With the enhancement from the system permissions and the assistance of the deep analysis module, he examined them once more. This time, the results were substantial. The originally fragmented coordinate information within the copper plate, which had a deficiency of 999, was partially completed under deep analysis. Yet, this minuscule fragment, combined with the sporadic information obtained from the crystal shards, granted him a clearer understanding of the path to the abyssal realm. Analysis complete. The coordinates of the copper plate point to the outer region of the abyssal realm, the entrance to the Bridge of Annihilation. The Bridge of Annihilation is a special passage connecting the real dimension with the abyssal realm, constructed by ancient powers, requiring a specific token, the copper plate, and the invocation of the abyssal DAO rhythm to manifest. The passage is extremely perilous, rife with chaotic flows of abyssal laws and unknown creatures. Fragmented spear tip residual information completed. Guard the fire seed, seek the other shore, traverse the Bridge of Annihilation, cross the abyssal sea, and behold the shadow of the other shore. The Bridge of Annihilation, the abyssal sea, the shadow of the other shore, Li Wei murmured, his eyes glimmering with divine light. The path was now clear. The next step was to locate and step onto that Bridge of Annihilation. He hesitated no longer, orienting himself towards the spatial node where the Bridge of Annihilation, as calculated by the copper plate and the system, was likely to exist, somewhere within this desolate star domain. He set forth once more, this time with a definitive objective. Along the journey, he ceased his deliberate quest for perilous terrains to cultivate, instead maintaining his primordial simulation within a diluted version of the Eye of the Void. While progressing on his path, he continuously absorbed the simulated damage for cultivation. Although the efficiency was inferior to that of genuine danger zones, it offered stability and durability, allowing his strength to steadily augment. The void spirits accompanying him also reaped significant benefits in this environment, their auras becoming increasingly refined, with the core's dark radiance deepening, subtly hinting at a transformation towards a higher echelon. Months later, Li Wei reached his destination, located at the periphery of the void skeleton star domain. The void here was relatively stable, devoid of shattered stars or the rivers of oblivion, presenting only an endless expanse of absolute nothingness. However, within Li Wei's perception, the spatial structure of this locale appeared exceptionally fragile, akin to a membrane that could be pierced at any moment. Beyond this veil lay a disquieting aura of chaotic laws belonging to the void. This was the place. Li Wei halted, retrieving a dark red copper piece. Taking a deep breath, he channeled his divine power, gradually infusing his perfected disillusionment DAO rhythm, now at 8 degrees of resolution, into the copper piece. Buzz. The copper piece erupted in a blaze of dark red light, its surface patterns undulating as if animated like living veins. A pillar of dark red light surged skyward from the copper piece, not shooting off into the distance, but plunging directly into the abyss of darkness ahead. Crack, crack. The sound reminiscent of shattering glass echoed. In the darkness before him, countless ripples surged forth under the impact of the dark red beam, and soon, an enormous, dilapidated bridge, constructed from a multitude of gray-white bones, shattered stars, and solidified disillusionment energy, gradually emerged from the void like a mirage. This bridge seemed endless, extending into the depths of the infinite darkness, its structure riddled with cracks and gaps, as ash-like materials continuously flaked off the bridge, plummeting into the churning, light, and heat-devouring sea of the void below. Upon the bridge, a silence far denser than that of the core of the void skeleton star domain permeated the air, imbued with an aura of death and finality. The Bridge of Disillusionment, an ancient pathway leading to the realm of the void. Merely standing at the bridge's threshold, Li Wei felt the operation of his chaotic heart grow sluggish, the cycle of life and death within the realm of the ethereal nearly coming to a halt. The essence of the void here exuded an absolute order, the order of all things demise. Warning: entering a realm of ultra-high concentration of void laws. Environmental assimilation absorption efficiency elevated to 2,500. External law suppression exceeds the limits of chaos dominion. It is recommended that the host immediately activate primordial simulation for counteracting buffering. The system emitted a sharp alarm. Without hesitation, Li Wei promptly activated the primordial simulation, constructing a weakened version of the Eye of the Void around himself. Although the simulation's precision was merely at 30, the resonance of the same source Dao rhythm instantaneously countered much of the external absolute suppression, granting him a moment to breathe. He cast a glance at the churning illusion of the sea of the void beneath his feet, then towards the ominous yet opportunity-laden bridge of disillusionment stretching into the unknown. His gaze unwavering and devoid of fear. The system meticulously records data concerning the Bridge of Annihilation, analyzes its structural principles, and seeks a safe passage. Spirit of the Ruins, accompany me. With a resolute step, he landed firmly upon the decaying surface of the bridge. His figure was instantly enveloped by the pervasive gray mist that shrouded the bridge, leaving only the sound of his steadfast footsteps echoing slowly across the desolate span, leading towards the ultimate destination, the ruins. A place even the divine monarch dares not speak of. A new adventure had officially commenced. Awaiting him were the true trials of the ruins, alongside the ultimate mysteries of transcendence and the other shore. Chapter 146, Slaying the Ruin Worms upon the Bridge of Annihilation, Witnessing True Spirits in the Sea of Ruins. The moment Li Wei set foot upon the Bridge of Annihilation, he felt an immense weight pressing down upon him, as if the entirety of the Sea of Ruins bore down upon his shoulders. It was not merely a physical burden, but an existential will emanating from the very fabric of the laws, perpetually eroding his vitality, attempting to assimilate him into this lifeless structure. Were it not for the buffer provided by the origin-simulated environment, coupled with the system's efforts to absorb and convert this omnipresent environmental damage, even the Sovereign of Chaos would find it difficult to proceed. Absorbing the environmental suppression of the Bridge of Annihilation, stability of the Chaos Sovereign's realm, 001. Resolution of Annihilation's principles, 0001, converted to realm value, 01. The efficiency was significantly lower than that of the core of the Eye of Ruins, yet it persisted unceasingly. Li Wei's mind remained as tranquil as still water, maintaining the simulated domain while cautiously advancing. His consciousness was heavily suppressed here, barely able to probe a radius of several hundred feet around him. The bridge was in a state of disrepair, riddled with immense cracks and holes. Below lay the tumultuous phantoms of the Sea of Ruins, where distorted shards of vengeful souls occasionally struggled and sank, emitting silent wails of despair. The bridge's structure was composed of various unidentifiable materials, predominantly the remnants of celestial bodies and solidified energies of annihilation, producing a hollow and frigid resonance underfoot. The spirits accompanying him thrived in this environment, joyfully absorbing the pure essence of the ruins in the air, their forms becoming more solid, the frequency of their cores' dim glow quickening, exuding a sense of comfort and pleasure. They could even preemptively sense certain unstable and perilous areas on the bridge, issuing warnings to guide Li Wei away from danger. After several days of travel, amidst the gray mist ahead, an unsettling rustling sound suddenly pierced the air, reminiscent of countless carapaces grinding against one another. Li Wei immediately halted, his gaze sharpening as he peered into the distance. The mist churned violently, revealing dozens of grotesque creatures emerging. These beings varied in size, some as small as hunting dogs, while others loomed large like hills, their bodies entirely encased in a dark, metallic shell adorned with twisted patterns reminiscent of the marks of the ruins. They possessed multiple pairs of compound eyes, flickering with a bloodthirsty crimson light, and their mandibles resembled crushing machines, dripping with corrosive slime capable of eroding divine bodies. A pure and savage aura of the ruins emanated from them, their strength ranging from eternal true gods to the sovereigns of chaos. Detected indigenous predatory species of the ruins, ruin beetles. Feeding on the energy of annihilation and the vitality of intruders, these formidable, exoskeleton-clad entities embody the principles of the void, displaying an exceptional resistance to physical and energy assaults. The system promptly delivered its assessment. At last, he encountered a living being, evidently This bridge of annihilation was not entirely devoid of life. Li Wei's gaze turned icy. The void-dwelling beetles clearly regarded him as prey encroaching upon their territory. With a piercing shriek, the largest among them, exuding an aura comparable to a mid-tier chaos sovereign, transformed into a streak of black light and lunged towards Li Wei. Its sharp forelimbs resembled the scythe of death, slicing through the mist with a razor-like precision, intent on cleaving through Li Wei's skull. The remaining beetles surged forth like a relentless tide. Li Wei neither dodged nor retreated, refraining from employing his void tranquility finger or the projection of the void. He seized this opportunity to gauge the pure might of his corporeal form and strength following his ascension beyond the Chaos Sovereign threshold. Clenching his right fist, the heart of chaos within him roared, a tremendous power coalescing at his knuckles, devoid of any outward radiance, yet warping the surrounding space ever so slightly. With a single punch, he struck the advancing beetle's massive forelimb. A crisp, explosive crack echoed. The formidable limb, capable of effortlessly cleaving stars, shattered upon contact with Li Wei's fist, crumbling like fragile glass. Dark golden ichor and shards of exoskeleton erupted forth. The force did not relent. As his fist descended upon the beetle's head with unyielding ferocity, the impact was akin to a watermelon bursting. The mid-tier, void-dwelling beetle had no time to utter a cry. Its head, along with a significant portion of its body, was obliterated into dust by that singular blow. Its mangled remains were swiftly devoured by the void sea beneath the bridge. Silence. The once frenzied surge of other void-dwelling beetles abruptly halted, their compound eyes now reflecting an all-consuming terror. They instinctively sensed the overwhelming power contained within this creature before them, a force potent enough to subjugate them. Li Wei shook his fist, feeling the recoil energy immediately absorbed by the system, a sense of satisfaction swelling within him. The corporeal strength of a chaos sovereign, coupled with the system's ability to mitigate recoil, indeed proved astonishing in close combat. His gaze swept over the trembling beetles, and he bellowed, "Begone." His voice carried the weight of his chaos sovereign will and a hint of the void's commanding resonance. The beetles, as if granted a pardon, emitted terrified whimpers and promptly scattered, diving into the fissures of the bridge or vanishing into the surrounding mist. Li Wei did not pursue. These beetles held little value for him. He continued onward, albeit with heightened vigilance. Clearly, a complete ecological chain existed upon this bridge of annihilation, and the void-dwelling beetles were likely mere low-tier predators. Indeed, as he progressed further, he encountered several more waves of attacks. Shadowy entities capable of directly assaulting the soul, soul-devouring demons, and pure annihilation energy, nearly immune to physical attacks, emerged. On one occasion, he sensed a subtle, yet potent presence lurking beneath the bridge in the void sea, its strength likely rivaling that of a divine monarch. Li Wei did not seek out conflict. He preferred to evade when possible, and when avoidance was not an option. He struck with swift and decisive force. His combat techniques became increasingly refined through repeated encounters, and his mastery over his own strength grew more precise. The application of the void silence finger and the return to ruins projection became second nature, often resulting in lethal strikes. The spirits of the ruins that accompanied him played an unexpectedly significant role in battle. They not only provided early warnings, but also interfered with the movements of the ruins creatures to a certain extent, even consuming the remnants of the annihilated beings that Li Wei defeated, subtly nourishing him in return. Though their contribution was slight, it accumulated over time. As time passed in the monotonous yet perilous journey, it was hard to determine how long had elapsed. Was it a year, or perhaps 10? On this bridge where time and space were in disarray, precise calculations proved elusive. One day, the pervasive gray mist ahead suddenly thinned. Li Wei's spirit surged, prompting him to quicken his pace. As he emerged from the final veil of fog, the sight before him brought him to an abrupt halt, his pupils dilating in shock. He had reached the terminus of the bridge of annihilation. Here, the bridge fractured, leading into an expanse of boundless ocean, indescribable in its vastness and profound silence. The water was not blue but bore a color of void that devoured all, utterly tranquil without a ripple, yet exuding an ultimate aura of annihilation that froze Li Wei's very soul. This was the true Sea of Ruins, the end of all things, the grave of law. In the far distance across this sea of ruins, a vague outline of an island seemed to shimmer, radiating a feeble yet tenacious vitality that starkly contrasted with the surrounding silence. The shadow of the other shore? Li Wei's heart raced. Was the distant island the destination indicated by the remnants of the broken spear? However, the pressing question remained. How could one traverse this terrifying sea of ruins? He had no doubt that even a single drop of this water could obliterate a being of saintly caliber. Even the formidable ancient divine shells ultimately succumbed to a similar eye of ruins. Flying? The spatial structure here was so solid that it was appalling. Filled with chaotic currents of law, flying would be tantamount to suicide. Walking on water? The sea could devour existence itself. How could it support him? Just as Li Wei furrowed his brow in contemplation, a powerful tremor resonated from the luminous sphere deep within his soul, along with the fragment of the system's core crystal that was merging with it. Their target was not the distant island, but rather, the Sea of Ruins itself. Detection of ultra-high concentration of ruins origin intertwined with weak system core fluctuations. Analysis conclusion. Deep within the Sea of Ruins, there exists a substantial amount of matter, originating from the crystal fragments, but deeply eroded and altered by the ruins' origin, which can be attempted for absorption to accelerate system repair and permission enhancement, though there is a risk of assimilation by the will of the ruins. Deep Analysis Module activated. Analysis of the surface law structure of the Sea of Ruins reveals weak nodes. A temporary law vessel can be constructed using the Return to Ruins projection and the system's core aura for short-distance crossing. A law vessel? Li Wei's gaze sharpened. The system indeed never disappoints him. He promptly obeys, mobilizing the 8-dimensional resonance of annihilation within him, blending it with the aura emanating from the shards of the system's primordial crystal. Before him, a phantom of a small vessel, crafted entirely from the laws of the void and the light of the same origin, gradually takes shape, capable of accommodating only one person. Upon this vessel, runes swirl, exuding a unique wave that is both sourced from the Sea of the Void, yet stands apart from it. This process demands immense mental focus and energy, and Li Wei senses his chaotic heart dimming slightly. At the moment the vessel fully solidifies, he steps onto it. The vessel gently sways, floating steadily upon the surface of the Sea of the Void, a realm capable of devouring all. The surrounding waters of annihilation seem to recognize this vessel, constructed from the laws of the same origin, as a kindred entity and refrain from launching an attack. Success. A surge of joy fills Li Wei's heart. He dares not linger, for this vessel of law cannot endure for long. With his thoughts guiding it, the vessel darts forth like an arrow released from a bow, cutting through the waves towards the depths of the Sea of the Void, toward the elusive island shrouded in mystery. The vessel sails across the absolute silence of the sea, surrounded by eternal nothingness and darkness. Only the distant shadow of the island serves as a beacon, illuminating the way. Li Wei stands at the bow, maintaining the vessel while diligently operating the system, absorbing the increasingly pure and formidable resonance of the void that permeates the surface, all the while vigilantly observing the depths below. He harbors a premonition that this sea, which has entombed countless universes and powerful beings, will not remain so tranquil. The true test may have only just begun. And what secrets lie hidden upon that distant island? Is it the culmination of the transcendent seed plan? The answer lies ahead. Chapter 147. The Spirit of the Void blocks the path. A thought settles the storm. The vessel of law glides silently across the desolate waters of the Sea of the Void, the runes swirling on its hull creating imperceptible ripples upon contact with the water. As the laws of the same origin interact, counterbalancing and adapting, Li Wei stands at the bow, his mind intensely focused, striving to maintain the vessel's stability while remaining vigilant for any disturbances that may arise in this ultimate graveyard. The system operates at full capacity, greedily absorbing the exquisitely pure resonance of the void around him, with every second of gain equating to months of arduous cultivation in the outer realms. His resolution of annihilation is steadily increasing, albeit slowly, within this primal sea, absorbing the primordial resonance of the Sea of the Void. Resolution of Annihilation 0005. Understanding of the realm of the Chaos Sovereign deepens, converting to realm value 05. Meanwhile, his spirits of the void appear unusually silent, even tinged with a hint of fear. They huddle closely at Li Wei's feet, their bodies trembling slightly, the core's dim radiance flickering uncertainly, conveying an instinctive dread of this ocean. Unlike the beings of the void encountered on the bridge, this sea represents their true origin and taboo. Suddenly, the vessel, which had been gliding smoothly, comes to an abrupt halt, as if colliding with an invisible barrier. Li Wei's heart quickens, and he swiftly steadies the vessel. Before him, the once tranquil surface of the sea began to churn violently, not from waves, but from the very water itself, boiling and coalescing. Gurgling sounds echoed as vast amounts of seawater surged upwards, forming a colossal bubble, which promptly shattered. From the depths emerged a massive, semi-transparent entity, entirely composed of the primordial waters of the abyssal sea. It possessed no fixed form, at times resembling a contorted serpent, at others morphing into a multi-tentacled abomination, and occasionally transforming into a gargantuan maw poised to devour all. At its core, a profoundly deep shadowy radiance spun, reminiscent of the eye of the abyss, emanating an intent far purer and more potent than that of any abyssal insect or soul eater, a will of the abyss itself, infinitely more formidable. Its aura unmistakably radiated a power at the level of a divine sovereign. Warning: a source energy aggregation of the abyssal sea detected, true spirit of the abyssal sea. Energy level: divine sovereign, elementary. Possesses heightened intelligence, commands a portion of abyssal authority, and harbors absolute hostility towards non-abyssal life forms. Extreme danger. The system's alarm rang with unprecedented urgency. The true spirit of the abyss, a manifestation of the very will of the abyssal sea. Its watery eyes locked onto Li Wei, unleashing a chilling, lifeless mental wave imbued with a sense of judgment. Outsider, you desecrate the abyss. Perish. With this mental surge, the entire surrounding sea seemed to awaken, transforming into countless invisible shackles that ensnared Li Wei and his small vessel. The light of the law boat dimmed instantaneously, creaking under the unbearable strain. as if it would shatter in the next moment. Li Wei's expression turned grave to the utmost degree. This was his first time directly confronting a fully empowered divine sovereign. And in the latter's domain, the Abyssal Sea. Escape? In this sealed maritime territory, it was nearly impossible. Fight. The opponent was an energy entity wielding abyssal authority. Conventional attacks would likely prove ineffective, or worse, could be absorbed and countered. In this critical moment, a flicker of resolution ignited in Li Wei's eyes. Rather than retreating, he fiercely activated the Heart of Chaos, drawing back most of the power sustaining the law boat. Simultaneously, he summoned the fragments of the system's source crystal deep within his soul, along with his own resonance of oblivion, which had reached an 85 resolution. He was determined to take a perilous gamble. If the system could absorb all damage, then this true spirit of the abyss was, in essence, also composed of high-level abyssal harm. Moreover, the core's shadowy glow subtly resonated with the fragments of the system's source crystal. You wish to obliterate me? Li Wei raised his gaze, his eyes flashing with determination as he met the immense presence of the true spirit of the abyss. Let us see whether it is you who will extinguish me, or whether I shall encompass this sea. No longer defensive, he actively dispelled all protective barriers surrounding him, including the precarious law boat. He presented himself as an unguarded target, exposed to the terrifying will and energy assault of the true spirit of the abyss. Foolishness. The mental wave of the true spirit carried a hint of derision, as more abyssal waters surged forth like millions of tentacles, swiftly engulfing Li Wei. The annihilating energy, potent enough to obliterate a divine sovereign, surged violently into his being, aiming to disintegrate him completely, both body and soul, into eternal silence. However, at the very instant this destructive energy penetrated his body, a proclamation echoed. Infinite Absorption Protocol activated. Absorbing divine, sovereign-level annihilation, source damage. Load, 999. Conversion efficiency maximized. Warning. Energy overload. System core overload. Li Wei felt as though his body were on the brink of exploding, his soul being mercilessly sliced by countless dull blades. The system's radiance flickered chaotically within the ocean of his consciousness, nearly extinguishing. Yet, he clung desperately to the last vestige of clarity, fervently operating the Tai Su transformation chapter, guiding the overwhelming annihilation source energy to collide with his chaotic heart in the realm of Tai Su. This was a gamble. A wager that the system's infinite absorption principle would hold true. A bet that his will could withstand the excruciating pain and impact. Crack. Crackle. His chaotic heart bore minute fissures under the onslaught of the ferocious energy, yet in an instant, it was mended and fortified by even purer energy. Within the Tai Su realm, landscapes crumbled, stars dimmed, but at the core of the domain, that singular chaotic vortex devoured the annihilation source with a ravenous hunger, growing ever deeper and more immense. Annihilation Dao Rhythm Resolution, 85, 90, 10. System Authority Unlock Progress, 102, 105, 110. Detected Absorbable Homologous Anomalous Substance, core of the true spirit of the Void Sea. Would you like to initiate absorption? As the resolution of the annihilation Dao rhythm surpassed 10, a profound understanding of the essence of the void surged within Li Wei's mind. The void was not merely destruction. It was the origin of reincarnation, the embodiment of nothingness, and a different form of order. A flicker of enlightenment crossed his eyes. No longer would he passively endure, but rather actively guide the vast energy of the void within him, blending it with his newly transcended annihilation Dao rhythm and the system's homologous aura, launching a counteroffensive towards the core of the true spirit of the Void Sea. That swirling point of darkness. Your annihilation belongs to me. Your essence shall serve my purpose. In a thought, he embraced the void, with his fingers poised like a sword. A beam of light, no longer dark gold but nearly transparent, as though it did not exist within this dimension, emanated from his fingertips. This beam emitted no discernible power outward, yet contained within it Li Wei's newfound comprehension of the void's essence. Coupled with the allure of the system's homologous aura, the beam disregarded the colossal energy form of the true spirit of the Void Sea. Striking directly at its core, the dark glimmer, buzz. The true spirit of the Void Sea emitted a piercing, terror-filled mental scream. It sensed its power being voraciously consumed by this insignificant outsider. And what was even more terrifying was that the essence of the void contained within the opponent's beam appeared more pure, more primal, than its own native spirit. Its watery form began to fluctuate violently, becoming increasingly unstable. No, this is impossible. You have stolen the authority of the void. The mental waves of the true spirit were rife with chaos and dread. Li Wei offered no response, channeling all his strength into the system and his Dao rhythm, the core of the dark radiance, under the allure of the system's homogeneous essence and the suppression of the higher-order truths of the void. Struggled momentarily before it was forcibly extracted from the essence of the Void Sea, transforming into a beam of light that penetrated into Li Wei's brow. Enveloped instantly by the luminous sphere of the system, and successfully absorbed the core of the Void Sea's true spirit, highly alienated homogeneous material. System repair accelerated. Permission unlocking progress, 110, 120, 150. Analysis of the path of silence. 10, 12, 15. New function unlocked. Control of the void, initial level. Can guide and harness the power of the void on a small scale, possessing a certain suppressive strength over void creatures. Having lost its core, the colossal form of the true spirit of the void sea collapsed with a thunderous sound, reverting to ordinary void water, merging into the ocean below, leaving behind a gradually calming ripple. Li Wei stood alone upon the reconstituted vessel of laws, his aura restrained, yet evoking an unfathomable depth. As if he were one with the desolate sea, he raised his hand gently, and the surrounding waters obediently parted, shedding their previous aggressiveness. His gaze turned resolutely towards the distant shadowy island of the other shore. Through this battle, he had turned misfortune into fortune, not only augmenting his power but also elevating his system permissions, thereby initially attaining the right to navigate within the void sea. With obstacles cleared from his path, it was time to unveil the ultimate secret of the other shore. He propelled the vessel of laws faster, akin to a meteor slicing through the eternal silence, directly aimed at his target. Chapter 148. Data returning to truth, the chaos master born from a thought. The battle with the true spirit of the void sea appeared perilous. Yet it was merely a stepping stone for Li Wei to validate his own path. The impact of the void's primordial essence, capable of obliterating ordinary divine kings, was to him merely another sumptuous feast on the system menu. At this moment, he floated within the silent void sea, his mind deeply immersed, not in healing, but in a profound self-reflection and power integration that transcended the dimensions of time and space. System, unfold the ultimate status panel. Synchronize with the primordial essence of the void realm, quantifying all accumulations since entering the origin continent, including all variables within the universe of my body. Upon issuing the command, Li Wei's consciousness seemed to transform into a cosmic singularity, which then erupted in a cataclysmic expansion, unfurling a vast star map composed of pure data and the resonances of laws, its complexity and intricacy surpassing the comprehension of ordinary chaos sovereigns. Ultimate host, Li Wei. Essence of life, chaos sovereign, regarded as a holy existence, peak, self-defined, supreme. Essence, elucidation, rooted in an infinite absorption system. With the void realm as its conduit and the silent void as its blade, he has preliminarily transcended traditional boundaries. Energy reserves and quality align with the peak of divine kings. The life form trends towards conceptualization, capable of freely transforming between the void and the present world. Actual combat power assessment, regular state. A thought can create or extinguish countless star systems. Words manifest law, defining the rules of a star domain. Comprehensive evaluation, below divine kings. All are but ants. Combat form, harnessing the power of the void realm and overlaying the projection of the ruins. One can engage directly and overpower ordinary divine kings, such as the king of the heavens. Overall evaluation, pinnacle of the divine king realm. Ultimate state, system overclocking, infinite absorption of rules fully activated, forcibly devouring and transforming all forms of attack, including certain damages from the highest rule levels, with energy accumulating without bounds, theoretically limitless. Overall evaluation, touching the threshold of the supreme, incalculable. Absolute core, void realm, inner universe scale, 100 billion light-years, continuously and slowly expanding. The structure has surpassed the cosmic realm, encompassing multiple dimensions of space-time, with a flow of time adjustable at will, up to 10,000 times acceleration. Origin, a fusion of time and space, the five elements, yin and yang, creation, extinction, the ruins, chaos, and all known laws, forming a self-circulating cycle, without beginning or end. At its core, the void Dao seed has condensed, embodying Li Wei's own path, also serving as the core vessel of the system. Characteristics, capable of devouring external energy, matter, and even damaged universes to accelerate its own growth. Internally, it can simulate any known environment, including a weakened version of the Eye of the Ruins, the interior of a chaos light sphere, etc. Infinite absorption system, fusion state rule level, absolute rule, surpassing all known laws of the origin continent, capable of absorbing, analyzing, and transforming any level and nature of damage and energy, including but not limited to physical, energy, soul, causality, fate, concept, and even aspects of the void itself. Current conversion efficiency, 100. Any damage converted to the host's required realm value, divine power, or specified law comprehension with 0 loss. System authority, 150. Continuously unlocking as high-dimensional energy and homologous matter are absorbed. Note, 1 authority signifies a qualitative change, enabling preliminary invocation of the system's foundational rules. Impenetrable body, strength, refined through the system's rules, merging the essence of the ruins, chaotic currents, and the power of the void realm, achieving a body of indestructible chaos. Near immunity to physical, energy, soul, and causality attacks, capable of enduring strikes from divine king weapons without harm. Characteristics, when embodying the ruins, one shares in its silence. When embodying creation, one harmonizes with all things in spring. Form and existence can be altered at will. System powers, authority 150. Core rule of infinite absorption, absolutely established, with no exceptions. Current absorption rate limit, capable of devouring and transforming the total energy released from the birth to extinction of a standard single universe every second. New and enhanced functions. Origin creation, primary capable of consuming energy to create matter and lower life forms within the scope of known laws from nothingness. Life planets and certain resources within the void realm have been generated through this function. Mastery of the ruins, primary capable of large-scale guidance and control over the power of the ruins, forming a domain of the ruins where all things return to silence. Existing solely for oneself. Possesses absolute dominion over ruins entities. Causal manifestation, capable of observing and intervening within limits on causal lines, conducting high-precision tracking, shielding, and even grafting. Space-time manipulation, capable of distorting, slicing, and sealing the fabric of space-time within a limited range beyond the void. The functionalities of in-depth analysis, demand forecasting, and rule simulation have been comprehensively upgraded, with computational power rivaling that of a hyperdimensional computer, awaiting analysis. The ultimate goal, the origins and creators of the system, the ultimate mystery. The complete picture of the transcendency plan. The final opposition and unity of the abyss and origin. Mastery of laws, surpassing the concept of progress bar. Achieve perfection and profound integration. Space, time, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light, darkness, destruction, devouring, life, and creation, encompassing all fundamental and advanced laws constituting the universe. Core Tao Rhythm. Annihilation, Abyss, Tao Rhythm. 15. Essence of understanding, not progress. Mastery of the abyss grants the power to define conclusions. Void Tao Rhythm. 10. Path of Self. Embracing all things, evolving life and death, serving as the overarching principle of all powers. Evaluation, for the host. Laws are no longer knowledge to be comprehended, but tools to be freely deconstructed, combined, and defined. Primary abilities and authority. 1. One thought births the universe, within the void. Words manifest as laws, creating galaxies, life, and civilizations in the blink of an eye. 2. Descent of the abyss. Capable of summoning the shadow of the abyss in the external realm, eroding reality and transforming vast expanses into desolate voids. 3. Void Annihilation Finger. A fundamental attack, where the point of contact results in the collapse of laws and the obliteration of concepts. 4. All laws return to the abyss. A vast area clearing technique, invoking the essence of the abyss, purifying everything and returning to the void. 5. System overclocking with infinite stacking. The ultimate trump card, once activated, allows for limitless absorption and transformation efficiency for a short duration, leading to an exponential increase in power until physical limits or system overload is reached. Theoretically limitless, practical application requires caution. Resources and foundation. Energy reserve. The source energy of the void is nearly infinite, capable of continuous absorption from external sources. Personal divine power reserves align with the pinnacle of divine kings. Materials and treasures. Abyssal divine iron, essence refined and integrated into the void. Shattered spear tip, remnants above the divine king level, containing the supreme Tao of destruction, currently under continuous analysis. Chaos bell, initially awakened spirit, power gradually liberated. With immense potential. Various abyssal specialties, ancient relics, abundant in number, with immeasurable value. Cosmic forces within. Earth lineage, source affinity clan, parents. Liao, pinnacle of realm masters, nourished by the cosmic source, eternal lifespan, and ongoing potential enhancement. Venina, pinnacle of realm masters, as above. Family and a portion of Earth's elites, approximately 100,000, with the lowest cultivation at the cosmic level. Some geniuses having broken through to domain master. Residing in the core life planet of the void's initial realm, where time flows at 1,000-fold speed, civilization rapidly develops, providing leeway with pure faith and causal anchor points. Realm Beast Legion, Blade of Destruction. The Beast King Morosa has awakened. Now firmly established at the level of the Chaos Sovereign, commanding the entire army. The number of beast warriors reaches 1 million, with the lowest strength at the pinnacle of the Realm Lord, and over 10,000 at the immortal level, alongside hundreds of thousands at the Realm Lord level. They gather in the dark domain of the Void Realm, exuding an overwhelming malevolence, capable of forming battle formations that can devour stars. The Suling clan, Messengers of the Ruins, comprises 300 members, having expanded after absorbing the energy from the Sea of Ruins. Among them, 1 is a Chaos Sovereign, the original leader. 50 are eternal true gods, and the rest are void true gods. They can transform between reality and illusion, wielding the power of annihilation, thriving in the environment of the ruins. The Tai Su Dao soldiers, creations born of laws, are 100,000 in number, crafted through the original creation function by Li Wei, consuming energy to shape these lawful beings. Their average strength is at the immortal level, exhibiting absolute loyalty. Tasked with maintaining order in the void realm and engaging in external warfare. Current situation and objectives. With an absolute advantage, there exists limitless potential for growth, impenetrable defenses, and vast cosmic power within. Initial control over the authority of the ruins has been established. However, potential challenges loom. including unlocking higher privileges within the system and the possibility of deeper-level conflicts behind the seed of transcendence, as well as the presence of the heavenly God King and the forces that may lie behind him, regarded as immediate obstacles to be cleared. Ultimate goals: to unlock the 100 privileges of the system, clarifying all origins and conclusions, to perfect the Void Realm, transforming it into an eternal true realm surpassing the origin continent, and to lead all affiliated clans and powers to transcend the cycle of reincarnation, achieving eternal freedom. As the data flows and reflects his essence, Li Wei slowly opens his eyes, devoid of the rise and fall of stars, revealing only an unfathomable chaos, seemingly harboring the desolation of the entire sea of ruins and the boundless vitality of the Void Realm. Heavenly God King, should you return at this moment, I wonder if you could withstand a single finger from me, he murmurs softly, his tone calm, yet imbued with undeniable confidence. The previous flight was not due to weakness, but rather an instability of realms and an unmastered authority. Now, endowed with the peak power of a God King, wielding the authority of the ruins, the God King is no longer a distant summit but a step he is poised to ascend. His gaze pierces through layers of void, again resting upon the shadowy island across the water. This time, he does not tread cautiously. A mere barrier dares to obstruct me? Without even invoking the projection of the ruins, a mere thought causes an aura of supreme essence belonging to the Tao seed of the void to emanate from him. The chaotic radiance and layers of barriers that envelop the island, capable of imprisoning a chaos sovereign, part silently like subjects before a king, revealing a clear path. Li Wei steps forward, with the vessel of laws beneath his feet dissolving naturally as he directly sets foot upon the land of the island. The desolate waters of the Sea of Ruins obediently recede behind him, daring not to touch even the hem of his garment. He has landed on the island across the water. Environmental analysis indicates an increased intensity of the same source signal, confirming the existence of a crucial node or fragment of the Transcendent Seed Plan at the island's core. Warning: multiple energy responses at the God King level detected deep within the island, currently in a dormant state. Additionally, there exists a high-dimensional seal unrelated to the ruins system. God King level response. A seal? A hint of intrigue danced upon Li Wei's lips. It seemed that this other shore was even more fascinating than he had anticipated. He hoped the challenges here would provide him with a modicum of thrill. He walked with his hands clasped behind his back, his pace unhurried, yet with each step he took, the surroundings twisted and transformed, as if time and space spontaneously yielded to him. The ruined spirits followed closely behind, akin to royal guards surrounding their sovereign. This time, he was no longer a reluctant fugitive exploring out of necessity, but rather a conqueror armed with the strength to crush all, seeking answers. The end of the Sea of Ruins and the secrets of the other shore would soon unveil themselves before him, and his legend would embark on a journey toward a realm even the God Kings could scarcely fathom, a more magnificent other shore. Chapter 149. Encountering True Essence on the Other Shore Island, the Secrets Beyond Transcendence. As his feet touched the land of the Other Shore Island, an emotion entirely distinct from the deathly silence of the Sea of Ruins surged within him. This place was neither a realm of pure vitality nor an absolute void, but rather a peculiar intertwining of emptiness and existence. The land bore a somber hue, as though it had accumulated the dust of countless epochs, and the air was suffused with faint chaotic currents, which were older and more refined than those of the outside world. The sights upon the island were bizarre and wondrous. There were crystalline forests formed entirely of runic laws, shimmering with a myriad of colors. Waterfalls defied gravity, cascading upwards, with each droplet infused with the essence of time. And fragmented stone tablets engraved with long-lost ancient divine scripts that, when merely gazed upon, could stir the soul into tremors. Environmental analysis. The spatial structure of the island is highly unstable, with numerous folded spaces and temporal discontinuities. The purity of chaotic currents exceeds that of the outside world by over 100 times, possessing the capability to refine divine bodies and nourish souls. Non-God King level souls cannot withstand the informational impact here for extended periods. As Li Wei strolled through this extraordinary realm, the natural resonance of the great void emanating from him formed an invisible domain that soothed the chaotic time and space, organizing the torrents of information. Wherever he traversed, winds stilled and waves calmed, the laws yielding to his presence. Those time-space traps capable of ensnaring even the masters of chaos appeared as docile as sheep before him. Following the increasingly distinct signal of shared origin guided by the system, Li Wei ventured deeper into the island. Along the way, he beheld more wondrous sights and sensed the dormant God King level energy responses. They resembled the guardians of the island, imprisoned within transparent chaotic crystals or slumbering at the nodes of twisted time and space, their ancient and formidable auras seemingly forced into a deep slumber by some formidable power. Target analysis. Dormant God King units. Status: consciousness frozen, life activity nearly ceased, energy cores locked by high-dimensional seals. The sealing system has a correlation of 875 with the plan of transcendence. It is speculated to be a measure taken after a failed or uncontrollable plan to seal the God Kings here, as nourishment or a foundation for the plan. Such a grand endeavor Li Wei's gaze swept over a three-eyed giant god king. Pierced by 9 chaotic chains and bound upon an altar, a chill coursing through his heart. The plan of Transcendent Seeds involves complexities that likely surpass his previous imaginings. As he delves deeper, the call of shared origin grows increasingly potent. At last, after traversing a range of mountains formed from shattered stars, a breathtaking vista unfolds before him. It is an expanse of unparalleled vastness, at the center of which lies not the anticipated palace or altar, but a tree so immense that words fail to encapsulate its grandeur. Its trunk exhibits a translucent, glass-like sheen, within which countless galaxies seem to ebb and flow. The roots do not penetrate the earth. Rather, they extend into the boundless void, drawing sustenance from an unknown source. The canopy unfurls into a distinct firmament, with branches and leaves that are not of solid form, but composed of myriad flowing runes of law, shimmering with the light of wisdom. Each leaf may embody a complete manifestation of the great path. Deep within the canopy, a faint, nebulous light is discernible, resonating strongly with the crystal fragments of the system residing in Li Wei's soul. Warning: ultra-high concentration of homogeneous signal source detected. Similarity to core system fragment, 9999. Confirmed as the core vessel of the Transcendent Seeds plan, the ancient tree of Tao source. Warning: a formidable protective mechanism detected. A conceptual defense field exists around the ancient tree of Tao source. Forcibly approaching will result in unpredictable consequences. Li Wei gazes at the ancient tree of Tao source, the core vessel of the Transcendent Seeds, comprehending within his heart. The answers he seeks, the origins of the system fragments, may indeed lie within that luminous orb at the tree's crown. He attempts to step forward. As he reaches the edge of the plane, an invisible, yet palpably real barrier halts his progression. This barrier is not composed of energy or matter. It resembles a manifestation of a rule. Unauthorized individuals may not approach the Tao. Li Wei senses that a forced breach would not trigger an energy explosion, but would instead lead to a direct conflict with some fundamental rule of existence, the consequences of which are unfathomable. He halts, choosing not to force his way through. Since this place shares a common origin with the system, there may be a more gentle means of entry. He slowly raises his hand, palm upward, channeling the essence of the system's homogeneous fragments from the depths of his soul. Simultaneously, he intertwines his own Tao rhythm of 15 in the path of extinction with 10 in the path of the void, manifesting as a chaotic orb of light that embodies both the stillness of the return to the void and the vitality of the great emptiness suspended in his palm. This orb of light represents Li Wei's unique Tao. As this sphere, infused with the essence of the system and his own Tao rhythm, materializes, the conceptual barrier ahead ripples gently, akin to a tranquil lake disturbed by a pebble. The colossal ancient tree of Tao source seems to respond, its branches and leaves stirring without wind, producing a rustling sound, not a mere noise, but the resonant melody of the great Tao. A gentle beam of light emanates from the depths of the tree, enveloping the orb in Li Wei's palm, as if scrutinizing it intently. After a moment, an ancient, serene consciousness, devoid of any emotional tone, reverberates directly within Li Wei's mind. Detected fragments of origin, bearing the unique essence of the Tao. Dissecting the composition of this essence, annihilation, return to the void, the vast emptiness, chaos, absorption, infinity. The Tao essence rating surpasses the baseline, qualifying for transcendence candidacy. A conceptual barrier, permission granted. As the wave of consciousness cascades down, the intangible barrier ahead parts like a curtain of water, revealing a direct path to the roots of the ancient tree. Li Wei, resolute in his heart, stows away the luminous orb and steps forward. The moment he crosses the barrier, a torrent of information floods into his sea of consciousness, akin to a river breaking free from its dam. This information is not comprised of specific techniques or knowledge, but rather fragmented images and essential elucidations concerning the plan for transcendence. Fragmented visions flash before his eyes. Amidst boundless void, a light that transcends all erupts, giving rise to myriad realms. Countless powerful beings, including those exuding the aura beyond the divine kings, converge to collaboratively devise a grand scheme aimed at unraveling the ultimate mysteries of the universe. Seeking to transcend the shackles of reincarnation, seeds imbued with disparate paths and rules are created and cast into various cosmic epochs for nurturing. Intense debates, ideological rifts, plans spiraling out of control, dreadful calamities, the shattering and scattering of seeds. The birth of the Sea of Return to the Void seems intricately linked to this failed attempt at transcendence. It serves as the refuse dump for the plan, as well as the graveyard for its failures. Absorbing fragments of the Transcendent Seed Plan, system database significantly updated, permission unlock progress enhanced, 150, 155, 160. Annihilation Tao Essence Resolution, 15, 155. Vast Emptiness Tao Essence Resolution, 10, 108. Li Wei stands amidst the roots of the ancient tree of the Tao, eyes closed as he assimilates this earth-shattering information. He comprehends that the system he possesses is a fragment of a shattered seed of transcendence from that grand plan. The rule of infinite absorption is indeed one of the core powers of this seed. This ancient tree of the Tao serves as one of the ultimate platforms for gathering, nurturing, and even filtering the seeds, a remnant of the plant's server or maternal entity. After a prolonged moment, Li Wei slowly opens his eyes, his gaze penetrating the layers of runic branches and leaves, once again locking onto the hazy light deep within the canopy. There, perhaps lies a more complete fragment of the seed, or the true secrets of transcendence. No longer hesitating, he gently levitates, ascending towards the center of this great flow of the Tao, the very genesis and potential terminus of all, soaring forth. The ultimate secret of the island across the shore, the root truth of the transcendent seed, is about to unveil its final veil before him. Chapter 150. I am the destiny that stabilizes the universe. My words invoke the laws that slay the god kings. Within the core space of the ancient tree of the Tao, time seems to lose all significance. Li Wei hovers in the air, his eyes tightly shut, enveloped entirely by the nebulous radiance emanating from the essence of the transcendent seed. The radiant brilliance is no longer an external phenomenon. It is now merging and reconstructing with the fragmented remnants of his soul, the essence of the void Tao, and the heart of chaos in a profound symbiosis. Integration of core system fragments in progress, levels 1, 10, 50. The structure of the void realm is upgraded, incorporating the transcendent Tao rhythm, enhancing the essence of the domain. Reconstruction of the chaos heart, with energy conversion efficiency increasing exponentially. Nirvana. The intertwining of the void Tao rhythm and the source of transcendence gives rise to a new supreme Tao rhythm, tentatively named Root, Resolution 001. This signifies a fundamental leap. Li Wei can distinctly perceive that all the powers he once wielded, chaos, time and space, the abyss, the void, and even the infinite absorption rules of the system, have now been unified into a higher echelon. He has dubbed this level as Root. Uncertain how much time has passed, perhaps a moment, perhaps an eternity, the hazy brilliance fully subsided, completely merging into every inch of Li Wei's divine body and every particle of his soul. He slowly opened his eyes. Within the depths of his gaze, there was no longer the rise and fall of stars, nor the silence of the abyss, but an absolute clarity that seemed capable of reflecting the lines of all laws across myriad realms, comprehending the essence of all existence. He stood there, as if embodying the Tao, the very source of rules. Ding. Complete system integration successful. Core permissions unlocked to 100. Host life essence has transitioned. Promoted to Root Envoy, tentative name. The infinite absorption rule has evolved into Root Absorption, capable of absorbing, analyzing, converting, and defining all forms of existence and non-existence. The void realm has ascended to the root realm. The scope of the domain is limitless, containing infinite dimensions, capable of autonomously evolving myriad laws and paths. Now possessing the embryonic form of the eternal true realm. Unlocking ultimate authority, word of law follows, root level. An unprecedented sense of control surged within him. Li Wei felt as though he had become the possessor of the source code of this universe. He no longer needed to rely on any specific techniques or Tao rhythms. His will itself had become the most powerful law. With a subtle shift in his thoughts, he directed his gaze towards this core space. This place shall return to my realm. As his words fell, it was not an energy fluctuation but a rewriting of some fundamental rule. The ancient tree of Tao, along with the core region of this other shore island, began to dissolve into the ethereal, and in the next moment, it had completely manifested at the center of the root realm, becoming the new cornerstone and source of Tao rhythm for the domain. The outside world was left as a void of emptiness. Li Wei took a step forward, having departed from the depths of the abyssal sea, reappearing above the boundless void of the origin continent. He needed no discernment of direction, for the threads of causality were vividly clear to his eyes. The profound entanglement of the divine king of the vast sky, standing out like a beacon in the darkness. Divine king of the vast sky. He softly uttered this name. Though his voice was not loud, it carried an unparalleled authority, piercing through infinite space and resonating directly within the core of the palace in the distant realm of the divine king. In the resplendent and majestic palace of the divine king, where laws intertwine like ethereal threads, the heavenly king, immersed in seclusion and endeavoring to refine an ancient relic, suddenly opened his eyes, a flicker of astonishment and fury flashing within them. Who dares to utter my true name and disturb my sacred cultivation? His divine consciousness surged outward in an overwhelming wave, seeking the source of the voice. However, in the next instant, his expression shifted drastically. He sensed an indescribable, incomprehensible will, seemingly transcending the very laws of the origin continent, had locked onto him. Before this will, even the esteemed divine king felt as insignificant as an ant. Is it you? That mere insect. Impossible. The heavenly king instantly recognized the trace of Li Wei's essence within this will, yet the oppressive aura it contained left him utterly incredulous. In the void, Li Wei's figure materialized silently above the palace, devoid of any explosive aura, yet instilling a profound sense of reverence and terror in all beings within the divine king's realm, from mortals to immortals, compelling them to prostrate instinctively upon the ground. Once, we chased each other into the abyss. The seeds of causality have been sown. Li Wei gazed down at the resplendent palace with a tranquil demeanor. as if observing an inconsequential object. Today, it shall conclude. Arrogance. The heavenly king, both astonished and enraged, found his dignity as a divine king intolerable of such condescension. He roared, unleashing his divine power, summoning the laws of heaven and earth. All gods shall bow. The heavenly king's seal, a radiant divine seal, embodying his lifetime of cultivation and infused with the supreme principles of suppression, purification, and destruction, coalesced like countless stars, bearing the terrifying might to obliterate myriad realms, and plummeted towards Li Wei with thunderous force. This strike was sufficient to effortlessly annihilate dozens of star systems. Faced with an attack that would make any ordinary divine king tremble, Li Wei merely raised his right hand, calmly extending his index finger. No energy converged, no principles flowed. He simply addressed the world-destroying divine seal with a single word, disperse. With the utterance of his command, the laws followed. The heavenly king's divine seal, laden with boundless divine power and principles, crumbled as if erased by an eraser, disintegrating from the most microscopic particle structure, dissipating into the most primal essence of spiritual particles, returning to the cosmos. There was no explosion, no shockwave. It simply vanished without a trace. The ease with which his life-bound divine seal was defined and dispersed inflicted a severe backlash upon the heavenly king, as he spat forth a stream of golden divine blood. His eyes filled with sheer horror and disbelief. Words manifesting as law. Authority of the root level? What are you? This transcended all realms of his understanding. Even the legendary world-class primordial beings could not so nonchalantly dismiss his full-force strike with a mere word. Li Wei did not respond to his inquiries, but continued to speak with calm assurance. Your existence in this realm is superfluous. Erased. And then, an even more horrifying event unfolded. The heavenly king, Hao Yan, was struck with terror as he realized that his body was gradually vanishing, starting from his feet. It was not destruction or annihilation, but a fundamental erasure of his very existence. His divine power, his soul, the traces of his being, and all causal connections with the world around him were forcefully obliterated by a mere utterance. No, I am the heavenly king. I have ruled for countless eons. I am immortal. He struggled desperately, igniting his soul and invoking all his hidden cards, with ancient forbidden artifacts illuminating in an attempt to resist this invisible force of erasure. However, before the absolute power of the origin-level decree, all resistance proved futile. The glimmering lights flickered like candles in the wind, extinguishing in an instant. His body disintegrated inch by inch, and ultimately, even his final roar of defiance could not fully escape his lips before he was entirely reduced to nothingness. The once mighty heavenly king, who had dominated a realm and instilled fear across the origin continent, had fallen, not in battle, but erased from existence. Silence enveloped the heavens and the earth. Only Li Wei remained, standing alone in the void, as if he had merely accomplished a trivial task. He glanced down at the panicking forces of the Divine King Palace and spoke calmly, his voice resonating throughout the entire domain. From this day forth, this realm is under the jurisdiction of the Origin Divine Sect. Those who comply shall receive guidance towards transcendence. Those who oppose shall share the same fate as this man. His words carried an undeniable absolute will, deeply imprinting themselves into the souls of every living being. Having completed this act, Li Wei's figure gradually faded, disappearing from the spot. The slaying of the Divine King was, for him, merely the removal of a minor obstacle on his path. Having integrated the complete core of the system and mastered the power of origin, his gaze had already shifted towards a more expansive stage and the potentially ancient adversaries lurking behind the plan of transcendence. His journey had only just begun. This origin continent, and even the boundless primordial space, would undergo unprecedented upheaval due to his existence. Chapter 151. The Eye of Origin observes eternity. Conceptual definitions forge a new heaven. Erasing the heavenly king was for Li Wei akin to brushing off dust from his garment. He stood in the void, his consciousness weaving an invisible web that enveloped the vast territory that had just lost its sovereign, spreading with astounding speed across the entirety of the origin continent. The realm of origin is synchronously expanding, analyzing the foundational laws of the origin continent, establishing faith channels for the origin divine sect, receiving the prayers and fears of billions of beings. Conversion rate. Origin power 0.00001, continuously accumulating. Detected strong vigilance and hostility from other regions. Divine King level entities. Quantity, 17. Highest energy tier, Peak Divine King. 17 Divine Kings. A nearly indifferent smile graced Li Wei's lips. From the perspective of the origin envoy he had become, these so-called Peak Divine Kings were merely the strongest fish in a pond, still unable to leap beyond its confines. He paid no heed to the distant probing minds filled with suspicion and wariness, instead directing his attention to the remnants of the Divine King Palace and the territory itself. In this realm, having endured countless battles, the laws have descended into chaos, the spiritual veins have withered, and grievances have accumulated. He murmured softly to himself, akin to a judge pronouncing a verdict. This is disorder, inconsistent with my path. The light in his eyes, reflecting the very essence of myriad laws, flickered gently. I declare, here, the laws shall be restored to order, the spiritual veins revived, grievances purified, and all living things shall blossom with vitality. With his words spoken, the laws followed. Though there was no cataclysmic surge of energy, the entire domain of the celestial sovereign underwent a profound metamorphosis. The landscapes, once shattered by war, began to mend themselves, ravines filled, broken mountains rose anew, even more grand and majestic than before. The once exhausted spiritual veins surged forth with boundless vitality, releasing the purest chaotic spiritual energy, its concentration surpassing that of most so-called paradises on the continent. The oppressive atmosphere of resentment and fury was supplanted by a refreshing, harmonious, and life-affirming essence of the Tao. Flora grew at a visibly frantic pace, spiritual herbs blossomed everywhere, and many cultivators, previously trapped at a bottleneck, experienced sudden breakthroughs. Countless mortals, burdened with ailments, found their health restored and their lifespans extended. This was not merely the work of fortune. It fundamentally rewrote the foundational principles of this region, replacing the definition of barrenness and chaos with that of abundance and order. Billions of beings witnessed this miraculous spectacle, felt the changes within themselves and their environment, and developed an awe and reverence for the ethereal figure in the sky, akin to a deity or demon. A tsunami of faith surged toward Li Wei, purer than ever, merging into the realm of origin. A miracle. This is a true miracle. Master of the origin, supreme and unparalleled. We pledge to eternally worship the sacred church of the origin. Li Wei did not lose himself in the wonder of his creation. His eye of origin pierced through time and space, gazing into a more distant past and deeper layers of causality. The celestial sovereign was but a guardian of a corner. Where are the remnants of the shattered seeds of transcendence? Of the participants in the plans of Ur, how many remain? With a thought, he activated the powers of the origin level, tracing causality and retrieving information. In an instant, infinite threads of causality manifested in his eye of origin, intricate and complex, linking the past, present, and future, connecting all living beings. He directly locked onto the causal threads related to the celestial sovereign and the seeds of transcendence, tracing them backward. Scenes long buried beneath the dust of time, like pages of a book being turned, flashed rapidly before his eyes. The celestial sovereign gained an extraordinary opportunity, refining a minuscule trace of the essence of the purification principle, allowing him to rise. He allied with several other sovereigns, yet mutual suspicion and resource competition ensued. In a more ancient epoch, a faint stream of light, suspected to be a shard of the transcendent seed, streaked across the sky. Its dissipating aura fortuitously captured and integrated by the celestial sovereign, establishing the foundation of his sovereignty, and traces left by even older, more secretive entities hidden in the shadows of history, as if they too were observing, perhaps even guiding. Tracing complete. 3 suspected response areas of the transcendent seed fragments have been locked, with energy levels exceeding that acquired by the celestial sovereign. 2 ancient entities, suspected to be in a dormant state and sealed, have been identified as having an indirect causal connection to the transcendent seed plan. The information has been recorded in the Root Realm database. Indeed, there are remnants. Li Wei's gaze remained tranquil. These fragments, these ancient presences, shall serve as the sustenance for his self-perfection and the quest for ultimate transcendence. He once again directed his attention toward the 17 hostile divine kings. They harbored doubts and animosity. His voice resonated directly within the minds of those divine kings, carrying an undeniable tone of judgment. This is disrespectful. I decree, your divine power shall be confined by 30% as a warning. Should there be any further misconduct, you shall face annihilation. As the proclamation echoed, a simultaneous uproar of fury erupted from the cores of the 17 divine king realms. What is happening? My divine power. The laws of perception have become obscure. My strength is waning. It is that existence. How could he possibly affect us all at once? What kind of power is this? The 17 divine kings, regardless of their locations or activities, were horrified to discover that their esteemed divine king-level powers were inexplicably suppressed, with a full 30% sealed away. This was neither injury nor depletion, but rather a direct stripping of their authority to wield a portion of their power, akin to a divine decree. They found it difficult even to entertain thoughts of rebellion, as the will imposing this definition was of such a high order that it instilled despair within them. Across the origin continent, all the top-tier beings who perceived this scene fell into stunned silence. A single decree defined the vitality of the realm. A single word diminished the power of 17 divine kings. What tremendous might is this? It transcended their comprehension entirely. Li Wei stood in the void, sensing the barely perceptible growth of his root power and the gradual expansion of the root realm due to the influx of faith and the perfection of laws. Collecting fragments, awakening old acquaintances, and deciphering the primordial essence, a long journey lay ahead. He murmured softly, his eyes ignited with ambitions capable of incinerating eternity. And this origin continent shall serve as the first experimental field for the sowing of my root path. His figure slowly dissipated, as though merging with the very laws of heaven and earth. Yet, the definitions and majesty he left behind were like the heaviest of brands, etched into the depths of every living being's soul, irrevocably altering the pattern that had persisted across countless epochs on the origin continent. The root divine religion began to take root and spread with unimaginable speed across this newly redefined land. As Li Wei's gaze turned toward the locations of the three fragments, and, beyond the starry sea, to the boundless primordial essence space. Chapter 152. The primordial tendrils gaze upon the seedling. One thought defines and subdues all directions. Li Wei established the root divine religion on the origin continent, with his words shaping the realm, diminishing the divine king's powers. His renown and authority could no longer be encapsulated merely by the term legend. He stood as an invisible supreme deity, his will enveloping the continent and rewriting the rules. The root divine religion spread at an astonishing rate as countless beings, having witnessed or heard of the miracles, pledged their allegiance to this figure who seemingly wielded the fundamental authority of the universe. Faith resembles an ocean, converging at the boundary of origin. Li Wei could sense that this nascent eternal realm was growing, albeit slowly yet resolutely. His comprehension of the essence of the root had